So when you come to the podium, please state your name, 3 minutes. I'm sorry we can't let anybody go longer than 3 minutes, so please don't think we're being rude if we cut you off. We're happy to take your written comments, but if we go longer than 3 minutes, we'll be here till the wee hours. All right, please.
Good evening. My name is Emery Nager, and I'm the Vice President of the NW4H Club. Cornell Cooperative Extension serves thousands of county residents through numerous programs, including 4-H. For 97 years, 4-H has been part of Westchester County. Our club, which is based at Peter Camdenstein's farm in North Salem, has members from Bronxville to North Salem and everywhere in between. We've been involved in improving life for Westchester residents through roadside cleanups, landscaping local town buildings, helping to lobby the state to keep open the John Jay Homestead, trail maintenance for the Audubon Society, and purchasing and installing benches for public benefit. We understand that these are hard economic times and cuts must be made. However, Cornell University will only put matching dollars into Westchester CCE. Likewise, federal grant money is only matching dollars. So every dollar that Westchester puts into Cornell Cooperative Extension provides $3 of benefit. Last year, we presented a petition of over 1,000 signatures asking the Board of Legislators to maintain funding for CCE. Please listen to your constituents and restore the full funding to Westchester's Cornell Cooperative Extension to save this valuable resource for the entire community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please remember, no clapping, no booing. Thank you, everyone. I know the temptation's there, but please, no clapping, no booing. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, legislators, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Megan Joyce. I'm representing the Canine Kids 4-H Club of Westchester County. I've been a member of the club for 10 years. I would like to speak about the value of 4-H. 4-H gives its members a variety of enriching experiences, including career explorations and capital days. I went to career explorations for 4 years, participating in the natural resources and green jobs programs, which have helped me to shape my interest in the environment. Because of this, I will pursue a major in environmental studies and conservation biology, and eventually a job in the field of wildlife conservation. Capital Days gives 4-Hers an opportunity to meet with members of the state government. 4-H donates many hours to community service. In our club alone, we train and register our dogs as certified therapy dogs, and we have set up Reading with Rover programs at libraries, including Mount Kisco and others. We also volunteer our time at nursing homes and hospitals. We have done demos and volunteered at Blythedale Children's Hospital. Our other community service we have done includes food drives and helping the SPCA. At the state fair, the Westchester County booth allows us to showcase our talents. We always have a grand showing of photographs, paintings, project books, stories, and poems, and our county has earned many of the coveted purple rosettes. Without funding, our county would not be represented. The 4-H clubs provide valuable education to the people of the county and the state. We set up posters and speak on dog health, first aid, emergency preparedness for your pet, and safety around dogs and dog behavior. We are prepared by 4-H for many parts of life, including public speaking. Each member is required to do a public presentation every year. A few years ago, I recited the Lorax, and I reached hundreds of people with the message that the environment matters. With funding from Westchester County, we are able to continue to receive funding from Cornell. However, the county needs to invest first. An investment in 4-H is an investment in the youth of Westchester County. As the Lorax says, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. Thank you for your consideration of restoring full funding to Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Thank you. And we've been joined by Legislator Sheila Marcotte. Welcome. All right, right now, as we said, we're going to our portion. Parents with small children who are here. Parents with small children who are here.
I just wanted to say my name is Howard Milbert, and I'm the Executive Director of the Ossining Children's Center. We have a number of families who are here from the Ossining Children's Center, from Mount Kisco Daycare Center, from Aunt Bessie's, from St. Matthew's. They're going to speak now, and then after they finish, what we'll do is, if it's okay to hold up our signs again.
One more time
so that all the kids get to see democracy in action, and then what we'll do is we'll all leave and make room for other folks to come in and sit down.
Thank you. That's very considerate.
Okay?
Thank you. Good plan. Ma'am, please state your name so we can check your card.
My name is Tracy Ann Johnson, and I'm from Ossining, and I have a son in the daycare, Ashton. And I'm a working parent, full-time student, trying to attain my bachelor's degree in human services. I'm a full-time worker also, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of the parents for the daycare. We're asking, please, do not raise our fee and provide us more funding, because if we can't afford it, then we have to sit home with our children, and then no work, no tax to pay. So we're just asking in your budgeting to be considerate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patricia Morgan. I probably wrote Trish Morgan on the card. My son goes to Ossining Children's Center. I am also a working parent. He's been in the center since he was 3 months old, and that goes to show how much I trust and love the center and how much he has loved it. He has never said he doesn't want to go there. By you cutting funds, that would not help them provide the services and the quality care that they can give them, and not just being maybe a family care. You know, they teach them. They provide them games and other activities that they can go to. So, excuse me? Oh, and homework help, my son says. So, you know, going to someone's house possibly, which might be an option, or maybe letting him be a walker to go home at this age, that wouldn't help. He would be home by himself or actually at a neighbor's house where he wouldn't get the homework help. And just the outstanding teachers there. I don't want to see staff cuts and some cuts to the services. So please do not cut funding. Thank you very much for listening, and good night.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ellen Grunwald. I also live in Ossining. This is my daughter, Cameron, and I have 2 other sons. All 3 of my children attend the Ossining Children's Center. I wanted to come here and really speak to you from the heart and let you know that I'm a Republican. I think a lot of people have the idea that this is a Democrat-Republican issue. This is something, as a Republican, I truly believe in. Public funding for a daycare subsidy really makes a lot of fiscal sense. If you raise the ceiling, what you're going to do is take a lot of low-income workers and take away their subsidy. What happens then is, if they can't afford it, they're not going to be able to work anymore. No taxes, and they're going to go back on other entitlements such as unemployment or food stamps, Medicaid. So it really doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense to cut something that's allowing people to work, allowing them to add to the economy. Also, at a center like Ossining Children's Center, which I love, and my children get a great benefit from, a lot of people depend on that subsidy, and if a lot of people aren't getting that subsidy and have to leave the center, that means that workers there also may lose their jobs, which to me would be terrible because they have such wonderful employees. So I wanted to share that with you. I also wanted to let you know I'm a social worker here in Westchester County. My husband and I are homeowners and taxpayers. And as a social worker, I spend a lot of time in all of the Department of Social Services offices in this county. And I can tell you that I see a lot of people trying to figure out ways to stay on entitlements such as unemployment, food stamps, and a lot of the ways they do that is thinking, well, I'll work less, I'll not document my wages, trying to, you know, for lack of a better term, trying to get one over so that they can get more entitlements. That's something you probably wouldn't want to happen because the county is losing money on that. The daycare subsidy, by contrast, is adding to the county. It's adding more workers, it's helping the economy, and it's letting people keep their livelihood. So I think it's much different. You should view it differently than other entitlements, and it's really important. It's an ethical issue, it's a fiscal issue, and you know, I hope that you keep that in mind in making your budget choices. Thank you.
Thank you. And while the next speaker is coming up, we're pleased to say we've been joined by legislator Virginia Perez. All right, next, please.
Hello, my name is Michelle Grant, and I also attend the Ossining, my children attend the Ossining Children's Center. I have 2 young children, 10 and 7. My biggest thing about the whole cuts and things like that is not just that single parents will not be able to finish working. They will not be able to work at all. They will return to the public system, as stated before. But also, you're taking away from the children themselves. Ossining Children's Center does offer tutoring and other things like that, as well as medical services to the children. Unfortunately, I do have 2 children, one of which is special needs. He does get a lot of extra stuff there. Try not to cry, sorry. He does get a lot of extra help there and things like that. He loves it there. Sorry. He also falls under mental health. He has high anxieties, and they do great by him. He loves being there. It's hard enough, especially in the mental health field, to get services, to get help for your children. They want your children to be home. They do not want them to be institutionalized. And by taking away daycare, you add back to that system as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
I believe I'm number 79 on the list. Thank you for this opportunity to speak earlier. I'm with 2 kids. They are 8 years old. My name is Katja Johnson, and I'm employed by the Department of Social Services, Child Protective Services. There's been a hiring freeze for 18 months in my department. In the meantime, some people retired, some quit and relocated, and some are on medical leave. The only thing that did not shrink are the caseloads. It is common practice for us to stay for free after hours to make sure that state mandates are met and the work is done. We heard very bitter voices of childcare recipients in Yonkers that we are not always available for them. I just want to say that we have our limitations. We don't have enough people to work. We have to be in court. We have to be in hospitals. We have to deal with service providers. We cannot be everywhere at once. And our documentation is just enormous. So we cannot really afford more layoffs. We need more people to work. But this is not only about us social workers. I walk the streets of Yonkers every day. There is a need in community for assistance and advocacy. We work with youth, young people who are literally pushed out of schools by Board of Ed so they don't have to deal with their issues. We work with people with mental health diagnosis and those addicted to drugs and alcohol. We see despair every day. And very often we are the only advocates for them because they don't have family support and no financial resources to function in this society. Cutting 125 of us is basically cutting off hope for thousands. I do not think we always realize the needs in the community. And I don't want to speak about big cases because we can read, or horrific cases, we can read about them in newspapers. I just want to mention one of the common issues we deal with. A couple of days ago, I spoke to a woman whose son diagnosed with ADHD keeps getting suspended in school. She was asking for help. She disclosed to me that she would like to work with her son to make up for his absences at home. However, she's not good in reading, and her math, when it comes to her math, she can do only basic addition and subtraction. She told me that the multiplication and anything beyond that is a challenge for her. There are thousands in the community who struggle with basic English and math. They are our future. Do we want to abandon them? Fiscal rhetoric was mentioned during the hearings on many occasions. I would like to relate to it again. Last year, thanks to the board's wisdom and fairness, our jobs were voted back in. About a week later, I noticed 2 job postings on our Westchester County website, junior staff assistant and staff assistant. And it wouldn't strike me until I saw the rest of the announcement. Both workers were needed for county's executive office. It was like a slap on the cheek. You are trying to lay off 376 people, and then you are hiring somebody to your office. You either have no control over your own administration, or you just have, I don't know what kind of problem you have. Also, in his rhetoric, we are portrayed as parasites making huge salaries and living of Westchester County taxpayers. Let me be clear, we are taxpayers. I cannot hide my income. My paycheck tells it all. I pay my income tax, my property tax, sales tax in Westchester County malls. I pay for my kids' education and after-school programs, and we keep this economy going. If my job is taken away from me, my house may be in foreclosure, and I may be in a line to get my food stamps, or I don't know, whatever help is offered. And I don't think it's the best path for the Westchester County. The last thing, okay. I just want you when the time comes to override his veto. This is all I'm asking for. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, and we're happy to take your written comments too for the public record. Thanks so much. Once again, we're on parents here with children. So anybody who has small children or small children who'd like to speak, pull the microphone down there. There we go. Thank you.
Excuse me? Like my mom said, I've been going there since I was 3 months old. And many of my friends I met there, like Kari. And also some of my teachers, like Alice. In the back. But I mean, I've liked it there with all my friends. And I liked how they help you with homework and some of the things they have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, please. Another parent with children here, please.
Hello, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about this issue. My husband and I own a house in Briarcliff. We're taxpayers. I'd just like to say that there is no wiser use of our tax dollars than investing in early childhood education. This is what makes our good citizens of the future. There's been study after study about the benefits of early childhood education and what it can do to prepare children for school when they get into kindergarten. It's not a conservative or liberal issue. Conservative columnist David Brooks and liberal columnist Nick Kristof don't agree on much, but they both have written on numerous occasions about the importance of early childhood education. It fosters a great work ethic. The children receive structure when they're in school. They see their parents working. There are so many benefits to it. It provides books and reading when there might not be those things at home. And it's just a very, very important and wonderful thing to invest in for all of us.
Thank you. Okay, next. Do we have more parents here with children? Any other parents with children who'd like to speak? Hi.
Hi. My name is Stephanie Huffman. My son is 5 years old. He goes to Mount Kisco Daycare. He's been going there for about 2 years.
Sally, it's not on, I don't think. Is it? All right, thank you. You can start again. We'll restart the clock. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Is that better?
There we
okay.
go. Thank you.
All right. My name is Stephanie Huffman. My son is 5 years old. He goes to Mount Kisco Daycare Center. He's been going there for just almost 2 years. When he first started going, it was when me and his father kind of, we split up, and I didn't have anywhere to go to take him. My father lives in Mount Kisco. So I called the daycare center, and they helped me out with everything, with getting everything that I needed. Also, when he first went, he wasn't speaking. He had a very hard time learning how to talk and say things. So they helped me out with getting him whatever he needed with, his speech therapy, and, they helped me out with everything. And I'm a single mother. I don't get any help from anybody. So really him going there helped me out a lot. And it helped him out because now I can't get him to shut up. So he talks so much, and I know it's all because of the things that they were able to provide for me that I wouldn't have been able to get by myself. So, my father's calling me. But, yeah, I know that, it helped me out so much, and, I take him there, my father picks him up, so it allows me to work, it allows me to save money to do the things that I have to do to make a better life for me and for him, and he's just so happy every day to go to school, and even on the weekends he wants to go to school, and I never had that. When I was younger, you had to kick me into school. Like, I didn't want to go, I didn't want to be there, and he just doesn't want to leave. So I'm very glad that I got the opportunity to send him somewhere that was so great. Because when I grew up, I was going to school in the Bronx, very bad neighborhood. So I saw things that I would never, ever want him to see. So just for me to be able to send him somewhere safe and somewhere that I feel comfortable with him going every day, it just really means a lot to me that they're able to give that to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, please.
Hello, my name is Alejandra Rivera. My kids also attend to Mount Kisco Child Care Center. The center, it is great. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to work and contribute to the family. I really think it's very important. It's a great place for them. It really helps me a lot, and that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any other parents with small children who are here tonight?
Who want to speak? No, we have plenty of parents with small children who are here tonight, but
No,
those
but
who, yes.
whose children are here or who want to speak.
Can we hold up the signs?
Last time, let's hold up the signs.
All for daycare, come on.
Okay, so Howard, are you going to make a wholesale exodus?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Okay, we can leave now.
All right, please, no. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, we don't clap, we don't boo. All right, we've got to be neutral here. Thank you. While they are making an orderly exit, all right, one second, please. First, we want to thank a few people. From the town of Cortlandt, Peter Bell and Mike Milbury, who have opened the building and who are going to stay late this evening. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And we would also like to thank the members of the Westchester County Police Department who are here tonight to keep us safe and orderly. Thank you. All right, while people are streaming out, I'm going to call the next 5 speakers, and while they're coming up, Howard, you can speak. Let me call up the next 5 speakers, and then while they're coming up, Howard can make his remarks, and then we can hit the ground running. Kim Jacobs, Susan Ferlauto, Karen Pecora, Frank Palumbo, and Mike Hagan. And while they're coming up, Howard, you can speak, and then we'll get going again.
I just want to thank the legislators for helping us keep our fees down. We really do appreciate that. And in terms of this whole process, I've been at the center since 1985, and we have been attending hearings since that time. And I just want you to know how important it is for the children to be part of this process. We have had children who have come here, who have come back to the center, who have now, they are involved in politics, they are aides, they are doing all sorts of good things for the world and for the community. And part of it is because they came here and they saw the process in action. So thank you very much. It really does mean a lot.
Thank you, Howard, and thanks everyone who came, and thanks to especially the children. Okay, now we're back to the order of the cards. Remember, we don't clap, we don't boo. Kim Jacobs, 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Kim Jacobs, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Capital Resources and co-chair of this year's Westchester Women's Agenda. I'm here tonight for 2 purposes: to urge your support of the Westchester Women's Agenda policy document and to advocate on behalf of my own agency, Community Capital Resources. Let me thank you again for your past support. It has made it possible for Community Capital to make the loans that banks cannot or will not make to revitalize our communities. Community Capital provides responsible and affordable small business, child care, energy efficiency, and housing loans to foster opportunity, change lives, and create impact. We need your support to give community businesses a chance that many can only get from us. I know it would be more compelling to hear directly from those who benefit from our services, and we would love to let you hear the wonderful stories of the business owners and developers we have helped. But the very nature of small business is such that to ask them to take time away from their businesses to testify during what is for most their busiest season is frankly bad for business. I hope instead you will bear with me as I share some of the comments of support from our clients that we have received and shared with Mr. Harcum and Mr. Maizano over the past week. Like this comment from London Photography. I'm a small business owner in Ardsley who came to CCR. They funded us when commercial banks could not. Since they approved my loan, I have been able to move my business forward to stay competitive, profitable, and ahead of other vendors offering similar services. I've also been impressed with the support programs they offer. They do an excellent job keeping their businesses notified of business development opportunities. My advisor at CCR, Simone Obermeyer, introduced me to a program that helped me fund a new contract. Without this, we would still be working from an antiquated contract that left us exposed in many ways. Community Capital wants our business to succeed. They do it through loans and smart, individualized thinking and programming. Please help them continue to help businesses like ours succeed. Or this comment from DNC Contracting in Hartsdale. Please keep funding available to CCR. We are a New York State minority business enterprise certified construction corporation who relies on CCR for loans and financial advice. We really need companies like CCR around to help us small companies. Or Chappaqua Wines and Spirits. As a recipient of a CCR loan at a time when I was in desperate need of funding, I am a firm supporter of furthering their need for funding. It's imperative for the life of small businesses that funding like theirs be available. As a small business owner who has faced troubling times over the past few years, I implore you to continue their efforts. I would love to have the time to share more success stories with you, but I hope that these three demonstrate the kind of support we offer to the businesses in our communities that create jobs, revitalize neighborhoods, generate tax revenues, and create community stakeholders. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Judy Myers. I am the budget chair for the Westchester County Board of Legislators, and I'm very sorry that I'm late, but traffic was lousy, and parking's a bit of a problem. Could we have Susan Furlato, please? Hi, Susan.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Susan Furlato. I'm an elder abuse attorney at Pace Women's Justice Center. With me is my colleague, Roberta Goodman, also an elder abuse attorney at Pace Women's Justice Center. Pace is a proud member of the Westchester Women's Agenda. We came before you last week in Mamaroneck. We know how precious your time is and how important the work at hand is, the work before you. We recognize how many individuals there are who need to speak with you tonight about their important causes. But we came back tonight because we're here speaking on behalf of our clients, our counties, that frail and vulnerable elder abuse victims. Since 2005, the county has funded Pace Women's Justice Center Elder Abuse Legal Services Program. Since that time, we have provided free legal services to more than 1,000 elder abuse victims in Westchester County. Without our program, our clients would have no access to legal recourse. Many of our clients have lost everything as a result of being the victims of financial abuse. Oftentimes, it's family members who have taken everything from them. Without our free civil legal services, they would be victimized a second time for not having access to the justice system. Our elder law community outreach program trains hundreds and hundreds of seniors and caregivers on ways to protect themselves from elder abuse and informing them of their rights. The community outreach program is $20,000 in the budget. Our elder abuse civil legal services program is $97,000. We are asking you to please restore funding to the 2013 budget for these two very important programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have Frank Palumbo? And as Frank is coming forward, I'd just like to say that we've also been joined by Legislator Mary Jane Shimsky and Legislator Alfreda Williams.
Good evening. My name is Karen Pecora, and I'm the president of CSEA Unit 9200, the employees of Westchester County. Since the release of the county executive's budget, many CSEA employees from multiple departments have contacted me with disturbing and upsetting information. Those targeted to be eliminated from the 2013 budget were told that they cannot speak to the media. Those who were not directly targeted were told they should not be speaking at these public hearings. Employees who were scheduled to be laid off last year, but were saved due to the hard work of the legislators, suffered retaliation and retribution throughout the year, and were told this was a direct result of their public speeches last year. You may notice that they're not speaking this year for fear that if their positions are put back in the budget, they'll once again be the target of retaliation. The theme throughout the county, through every department, is that not only should we not speak out against the proposed budget, because it would make the county and the departments look bad, we should support it. The commissioners and directors have not tried to conceal the fact that this is a direct message from the county executive. What kind of county executive do we have? What happened to freedom of speech? Not only are Westchester County employees targeted to be laid off, we can't speak about the important services we provide or the safety impact 126 layoffs will have on the residents and taxpayers. The hardworking, dedicated professional employees of Westchester County are most familiar with the harmful impact the cuts will have and should not be prohibited from speaking the truth to the residents. The residents deserve the truth. We always ask why the county executive is trying to balance the budget on the backs of the hardworking, dedicated, professional employees of Westchester County. We now ask, why is the county executive running his political campaign on our backs? No matter what side of the aisle you sit on, you cannot believe that trying to stop the employees from defending their positions is a good faith effort on the county executive. You may support this budget, but you cannot believe that layoffs are the best for the taxpayers and residents of Westchester County, especially since these employees live in your districts. Please do not let this happen. The county executive is lying when he states that CSEA has chosen to accept layoffs so that we can get another year of free medical, or that we are refusing to contribute to our medical. If the county executive was adamant about having an agreement with CSEA, he would have accepted our proposal, which included contributions and contractual no layoff language. He chose neither. Please support the hardworking, dedicated, professional employees of Westchester County. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Frank Palumbo.
Honorable Board, my name is Frank Palumbo. I work for the Department of Emergency Services. I've been a dedicated employee for 28 years. The service which I and my department provides through DES are invincible. Since 2010, my immediate department is down 50%. This year, my department is slated to lose 11% of the workforce. My primary job function at DES, Senior Maintenance Mechanic, is to provide daily care, maintenance of the Fire Training Center and Support Services building. My work includes, but not limited to, ensuring that the emergency vehicles are in working order at every given moment, maintaining generators, sandbaggers, light towers, pumps for every kind of emergency. Additionally, I provide ground maintenance, snow removal, interior and exterior building repairs, fire extinguisher inspections, building fuel supply, classroom supply, contract management, maintaining inventory of building supplies. The Fire Training Center is occupied by 911 dispatch, which is a 24-hour operation. The Support Services building stores emergency vehicles, emergency supplies. The Fire Training Center is where firefighters and other emergency professionals come to train annually. We approximately have 28,000 students come through our door for training. My role is to ensure each morning that each emergency vehicle equipment are operational and functional and properly ready to go when an emergency occurs. When training is in session, which is all year long, I ensure that the classrooms are prepared. I perform ongoing cleaning. Some of the sessions run 18 hours for fire training. I prepare and arrange for special equipment for fire training extinguishers, car fires, and the resident burn building. What I have mentioned here are some of my job duties, but what is not described here is the emergency support I provide with my colleagues on 9/11, Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Irene, Hurricane Floyd. I provided 24 hours of ongoing support and dedication by delivering emergency supplies to municipalities, including cots, generators, bedding, food, sandbags, water. Delivering supplies, I was ensuring that the Fire Training Center was operational and accessible to maintain its cleanliness. Eliminating my position or any position at DES would put a major strain on the Department of Emergency Services, the service which we provide throughout the county. During a significant emergency, local municipalities will suffer. They will not benefit from our services. Let's be realistic, more and more events have occurred. We fear that more and more will take place in the future. Therefore, I urge you to rethink your position and do what's right for the people of the Department of Emergency Services, local municipalities, and the residents of Westchester County. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Mike Hagan, and while Mike is coming up, could we have Eric Siegel, Julie Vakiati, Logan Stoddard, and Annette Shands come forward, please?
Good evening.
Good evening.
While I spoke to many of you privately about what's going on with this budget, I thought it was important to come out with some of my fellow officers and speak out publicly about what this budget means to our department and what it means to the public as far as public safety. The budget cuts about $350,000 or more in salary lines by eliminating 5 positions that are currently unfilled. It takes another $380,000 out of the budget for police vehicles, to replace ones that are old and unserviceable. But the biggest cut is the one that's hidden in between the numbers. And that, I think, is one that the county executive hoped that we wouldn't notice. And that is to remove another $500,000 from the salary line labeled vacancy factor. And what this does is it ensures, it preemptively eliminates every position of every police officer that's going to retire next year, which is on average 10 to 11. You combine that with the 17 officers that we have lost already, and you have a 10% staff reduction over the past 3 years. The nature of our work is such that belt tightening doesn't work. You either have police officers available to do the work or you don't. Despite what the administration may tell you, previous cuts in public safety have resulted in a decline in safety to the public. Each year, the number of detectives deployed to the patrol division grows as our numbers decline. In 2012, 17 detectives were assigned to the patrol division during the summer, and that's 35% of the detective division. There's nobody doing that 35% of the work while they're down there. Today, 12% of that detective division remains in patrol in order to fill the gaps of all the positions that we lost, and that's 6 detectives. Again, despite what the administration claims, less detectives is less work, it's less bodies, and reduced overtime means that there's less of an effort in getting the job done in general investigations, in narcotics. We do narcotics for the entire county. There are a couple of large cities that may do some, but without that narcotics work getting out there and getting done, your town, your village is going to have activity that's unfettered. There's going to be nobody there to stop them. Warrants, we know who they are. We know what they did. We have to be able to go out there and get them. If we don't have detectives, we can't do it. In our patrol division, okay, even last year we lost 2 patrols, one in Wilson Woods, where they had a rash of shootings in Mount Vernon throughout the year. Take a cop out of Wilson Woods for the summer, where the people go to recreate. And Playland lost a police officer. I can go on about all of the cuts that happened, but the budget basically relegates us to one of those nice-to-haves. Okay, this is not a nice-to-have. We need to restore the funding so that the residents of the county have public safety, and the officers that you see here have officer safety so they can go home to their families at the end of the tour. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Roy Stillman. And Charlie Roberto. Sorry, I think I passed over you.
Good evening. I'm accompanied by Megan Flynn, the Assistant Director of Children's Services, Westchester Jewish Community Services, and Jan Fisher, Director of Public Affairs. I wrote Jan Fisher. Good evening. My name is Roy Stillman, and I serve on the Board of Directors of Westchester Jewish Community Services, a not-for-profit human services agency that employs approximately 750 people and works with close to 20,000 Westchester County children, families, seniors, and individuals annually. Along with serving on the board, I am president of Stillman Property Management.
so I'm a businessman. We thank the County Board of Legislators for providing the community with this opportunity to speak about what matters to business owners and residents in Westchester. I am here, along with my fellow board members and WJCS staff, because we support Kids Today for a Healthy Westchester. We know that high-quality services to children and youth today are a sound and essential investment that saves significant tax dollars now and in the future. We know that investing tax dollars in high-quality services to risk youth increases their chances of becoming productive adults who will contribute to a healthy Westchester. While we were happy to see that much of the Invest in Kids funding, which supports so many critical youth development programs, has been incorporated into the county executive's proposed budget, and we thank the Board of Legislators for championing this initiative since the mid-1990s, we urge you to increase the fund for seed money for new community-based youth programs from the proposed $200,000 to $400,000, with funding awarded through the Youth Bureau. On another matter, WJCS is very grateful that for the first time, the full budget for Early Step Forward is in the DCMH budget. We thank the many legislators for supporting this proven initiative that supports preschool children, families, and early child care providers. We hope you will all approve this change. As a provider of Early Step Forward and many other services to preschool children, WJCS understands the importance of high-quality child care. We support our partners in child care and are hopeful that the final 2013 county budget will fairly invest in working families, young children, and their parents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Charlie Roberto.
Hi, I'm Charlie Roberto. I'm a board member at Teatown Lake Reservation. I'm a resident of Westchester for over 30 years, and I'm here representing Sawmill River Audubon tonight in support of our county parks. As a resident for 30 years, I've seen our parks decline greatly. The stewardship is something that is greatly lacking, and I know you have a very tough job. We're one of the richest counties in the country, but we have great demands on our wealth. And one of the most important things is the mental health and the welfare of everyone here, and we find that out in nature, and also the education that it supplies our kids. The best memories for many of our kids are field trips to our county parks. And the curators are more than just curators. They're teachers, they're peace officers, they provide security for people that are using the parks for outdoor activities. And they report danger that tree falls and other issues that happen every day in the park. And we'd suffer greatly cutting these positions. Sawmill also has some notes here that I'll hand in. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Siegel.
Good evening. My name is Eric Siegel. I'm ceding my time to Rochelle Rosenberg.
Thank you. Rochelle.
Thank you. I'm Rochelle Rosenberg, President of the Board of Trustees of the Katona Museum of Art. Thank you for providing this opportunity tonight to comment on the proposed budget. At these hearings, we're hearing from many people who are deeply concerned about the needs of the residents who are not addressed in the budget as proposed. We're not here from the Katona Museum to compete with those advocates. In fact, our arts organizations work hand in hand with many of the social service agencies to enhance the lives of kids, senior citizens, people with mental illness, and those that live in shelters. One of the most important ways that nonprofit cultural sector contributes to Westchester is as an economic driver. As the economy improves, you will have less pressure to cut vital safety net programs. The arts are part of the solution. I want you to leave here remembering three important facts that demonstrate how very important the arts are to Westchester's economy. Westchester's nonprofit arts sector supports 4,800 jobs. It returns $12.5 million to revenue to local government, and it generates a total of $156 million in local spending. Simply put, the nonprofit arts sector is an essential component of the county's economic life. As it stands, the allocation in the proposed budget is less than half of the current allocation for the arts. A reduction of that magnitude means loss of jobs, loss of government revenue, loss of income to the hundreds of local businesses that benefits from arts-related spending. That is not a formula for economic growth. Let me comment briefly on cultural tourism. The Katona Museum of Art attracts visitors not just from Westchester, but from the tri-state area. And we're not alone. Carramore Center for the Arts and Culture, our neighbor in Katona, the Jacob Burns Film Festival in Pleasantville, the Emmeline Theater in Mamaroneck, Tarrytown Music Hall, the Newberger Museum, the Purchase Performing Arts Center at Purchase College, even smaller organizations such as the Taconic Opera, which performs in Yorktown. We all draw people to this county. And why is that important? Because when people come to Westchester for a cultural event, they spend money here. Our visitors dine in local restaurants, they shop, they have a glass of wine after a performance, and they buy gas at the local station. Finally, there's another way in which the arts are important to the county's economic development. It's an obvious one, but sometimes overlooked. The arts make Westchester a very desirable place to live and to work. The arts are right up there with good schools, open spaces, and assets that people look for when they're considering where to live or where to locate their businesses. The county's Office of Economic Development, the County Association, and Westchester Business Council are working hard to make Westchester a place that is attractive to young professionals. We're part of these efforts, too, because young professionals, like all of us, want to live in communities that are culturally vibrant. In closing, I ask you to please restore the funds to the arts. Many thanks.
Thank you. Julie Vakiati.
Little. Hi, my name is Julie Vashati, and I am here to speak about the 2013 proposed budget cuts of 4 curator positions, including the curator of wildlife and head of the county's deer management program, Dan Atchison. As a lifelong resident of Westchester County, I have watched the Department of PRC, whose letters stand for Parks, Recreation, and Conservation, evolving into, instead, P for pools, R for recreation, and C for courses, as in golf courses. A look at the Park Department's budget proposal shows emphasis on manning recreational facilities, putting its parklands at risk. The Conservation Division has already had crippling cuts to its budget and manpower. And now, before you, the Board of Legislators, is the decision to cut 4 more extremely important curator positions. These 4 people have been with the county for several years and are highly educated professional environmental scientists. The commissioner herself said in her presentation to the board last Monday that these positions would be filled by hourly workers, possibly unqualified to do the excellent job these curators have done, including running the deer management program. Who is the one, as the curator of wildlife, who created and runs the deer management program? The answer is Dan Atchison. Who has the qualifications, knowledge, and experience to deal not only with deer, but also with non-lethal and 100% successful goose population reduction, extensive beaver damage to county property, coyote problems, and all other wildlife issues and solutions? Dan Atchison does. Who is the liaison between the county and the New York State DEC, DEP, and the USDA? Dan Atchison is. Who is the one that Somers, Rockland County, and several other municipalities and counties sought out his expertise to help set up their deer management programs? Dan Atchison is the one. Who has led more than 90 resident volunteers every year in giving more than 4,000 hours a year to bow hunt and give free meat to the county food pantry? Dan Atchison has. Is there really some hourly county worker who can do even close to what Dan Atchison has done? I don't think so. Finally, if the 4 curator positions are not put back into the 2013 budget, you might as well change the name of the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation to Pools, Recreation, and Courses. I say this because without the curator of wildlife running the deer management program, the out-of-control deer population will be eating in everything in sight, and there will be no P for parks to R, recreate in, and C, conserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Logan Stoddard.
Honorable legislators, my name is Logan Stoddard. I'm a community member, homeowner, local teacher, and ironically enough, I'm a lifelong vegetarian who is now going to speak on behalf of the Deer Management Program and the curator positions of the parks. I would like you to imagine 2 houses, one that is well maintained and cared for, and one that is abandoned and left unattended. The house that is monitored, cared for, and repaired can stand for hundreds of years, and will be enjoyed by many inhabitants. The one that is left to fall into despair will rot and crumble with time, as all things do. Westchester County Parks is responsible for maintaining 18,000 acres of parkland. While there has always been and will always be park staff who can cut lawns and pick up trash, who has the responsibility for monitoring, preserving, researching, and managing the thousands of acres of woodlands. This has always been the job of the Conservation Division curators. The division as a whole is now suffering over a 20% cut of its qualified and seasoned staff. During the November 26th Budget and Appropriations Committee meeting, the Parks Department stated that they rather cut the pre-existing staff and then fill their positions with others from within the county who do not have the same years of experience, connections, or know-how to offer and maintain the same quality work or management of programs and that the current curators can and have been. And if those who have been moved to other positions, why can't those positions be vacated in the first place? Parks obviously sees value in the curators' positions as they've requested for them in the proposed 2013 budget, yet at the same time it appears that they were denied by administration. I would like to specifically advocate for Dan Atchison's and his position as the curator of wildlife. Westchester County is a mix of forest and suburbia. Being stewards of our land, it is important to learn how to coexist with the wildlife that inhabits the forest, whether that means monitoring, researching, or management. Mr. Atchison is the only one who has the background experience and qualifications to do this, and has been doing it successfully since the creation of the title. During that time, he has created the well-run, renowned adaptive deer management program, saved roads in the North County Trailway from completely ruined from beaver damage, was at the forefront of the coyote issue in Rye, preserved water quality and green space for goose programs in multiple parks, all the while conducting research and assisting with research from various universities and organizations, as well as looking beyond deer management to the future steps needed to bring about reforestation of woodlands that has been battered by storms, disease, invasive plants, and insects. Will a grant writer be able to fill his shoes? Those who have come before us in this country had the foresight to preserve open space for the residents of Westchester without qualified and seasoned stewards who know our land and the wildlife. What will the future hold? I'm just going to end with one quick Native American proverb. Only when the last tree has died and the last river has been poisoned and the last fish has been caught, we will realize we cannot eat money. Thank you.
Thank you. Annette Shands, and while Annette is coming up, could we have Barbara Sachs, George Morrison, Juliet Aguiar, and Rob Russell, please. And I'd also like to mention that we have been joined by legislator Lyndon Williams.
Good evening. I am here as a former board member of Hudson River Healthcare, and I wish to impress upon the Board of Legislators the very importance of having our health centers funded as mandated by our state. Not to fund the health centers is to leave our public at high risk, in the event of an emergency, in the event of any outbreak that we cannot legislate when it's going to come, but we can legislate that the funds be there as needed so that our public will not be at risk. So that is very urgent that we do this for the sake of the general public. Not only do we have to be ready to help and benefit those of us who live in Westchester County, but there are times when we may have to go to other parts of our nation to help for at-risk times. And those people that are in other parts of our nation will come to our aid. But we do have to be funded as mandated by the state. So please let us be funded, let us be ready, let us be prepared, let us be adequately prepared to deal with any emergency that comes to keep our public from being at risk. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Barbara Sachs.
Good evening, honorable legislators, and thank you for the opportunity to come here and address you this evening. My name is Barbara Sachs, and I'm the Executive Director of Cornell Cooperative Extension of Westchester County. 2013 will be our 98th consecutive year of serving our county. We appreciate so greatly your tremendous support over the years, and we hope that you'll continue to support us. We also appreciate the fact that the county executive has included us in the budget this year for $600,000. We are concerned, however, because that's $390,000 less than what we need. The cuts will result in further layoffs and the loss of programs in 4-H, horticulture, pest management, master gardener programs, youth nutrition education. Cuts in horticulture will deprive the billion-dollar green industry in Westchester County of the needed resources that we provide and that keep them viable and competitive. They employ tens of thousands of people. And cuts in 4-H will further reduce or eliminate our science and technology education programs for youngsters. Cuts in youth nutrition will mean fewer weapons in our arsenal to battle youth obesity, which in turn leads to premature type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and learning disabilities. The result, of course, is more Medicaid dollars are needed to treat those diseases. Cuts in the Master Gardener program means that we can't train new Master Gardeners to replace the ones who are retiring. They're all volunteers, by the way, and last year they contributed $400,000 worth of services to Westchester County. Cuts in pest management means we can't help residents and businesses deal with problems like bed bug management and the destruction of thousands of Westchester trees by insects. We are the poster child of doing more with less. We have cut down our staff from 36 to 14 people over the last few years. We are moving in order to bring down the rent, but we can't reach that diminishing point of returns where we can no longer provide the services, and we are coming critically close to doing so. We've already lost excellent employees who quit because they said, there's too much economic uncertainty with the funding and we can't stay here any longer. It's hard for us to attract people of the first class and best caliber to serve the people of Westchester if we have to tell them, well, you're going to work for us year to year. We can only guarantee 1 year of employment at a time. We know that a cut in $1 of county funding results in our loss of an additional $2 in outside funding from state, federal, and Cornell resources. But the $600,000 is a beginning. Please don't make it an end. Thank you for your help over the years.
Okay. Thank you. George Morrison.
Honorable county legislators, I'm George Morrison, a resident for over 40 years in Briarcliff Manor, and a retiree who has, for the past 10 years, been a volunteer as a master gardener for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Westchester County. This is my third appearance before you in as many years. But I'd first like to thank all of the legislators who were in office at the 2012 county budget hearings for not only unanimously restoring funding at Cornell University Cooperative Extension, but also unanimously overriding the line item veto by the county executive. In a welcome change from the past, when no budget requests were made, and vetoes for legislator-restored amounts for cooperative extension were the rule. The county executive has finally paid heed to the many voices that have previously been heard and whose appeals have only been acted upon by you, the members of the county legislature. Unfortunately, the budget amount that he has requested for you for cooperative extension for 2013 is insufficient to provide the many science-based programs that Westchesterites have depended upon for over 90 years. They include an array of horticultural programs that meet commercial, governmental, municipal, educational, and individual needs, nutrition programs for the economically challenged, and 4-H educational programs for youth and their families. And it's important to recall that county-contributed funding drives significant support from federal and state sources. Please restore the additional 40% that was omitted in the 2013 budget requests so that cooperative extension can continue to maintain the high quality of service to this county. And to those legislators who began service in this current year and did not previously have the opportunity to join in support of cooperative extension, I urge you to join with your colleagues in the vote of support. Thank you.
Thank you. Juliet Aguiar.
My name is Juliet Aguiar, and I have been employed with Westchester County since 1996. I am presently a caseworker with DSS, and I'm also a proud union member of CSEA Unit 9200. As a single parent, my job is of the utmost importance. If there are layoffs, I could be out the door. There have been between 450 and 500 people hired since Mr. Astorino took office. Many are interns and political appointees who started out as grade 12s, making about $85,000. I know, unbelievable. And then their salaries were reduced to $45,000. $45,000 for an intern? Government and politics work the way they always have. But when that government and the public it serves are struggling through the worst recession in our history, this quid pro quo system will no longer stand. Don't lay off real workers who took civil service tests and came up through the ranks as faithful public servants to keep the hacks who make more and know less and do less. That is simply unconscionable.
Thank you. Rob Russell, and while Rob is coming forward, could we have Desta Lacue, Miriam Matobar, Liana Fixell, and Jeanette Phillips.
Good evening, honorable legislators. My name is Rob Russell, and I'm with the Department of Emergency Services. I wanted to start by thanking you for this opportunity, and particularly thanking you for your efforts with the budgets of the previous 2 years. By now, most of us have seen the county executive's budget presentation, which outlines 121 of the 126 layoffs. Conspicuously, the 5 layoffs in DES were neglected from this presentation. This is disturbing because, on paper, DES has 53 full-time employees, and reducing by 5 employees equals an 11% reduction in overall staff. But these numbers become more troubling when you look a little deeper into the issue. Because of these 53 employees, 26 are dispatch staff, leaving 27 non-dispatch staff. And of those 27 employees, 2 are commissioners, 3 are chiefs, 2 are directors, 4 hold upper-level administrative positions, and 2 positions are currently vacant, leaving 14 employees, boots on the ground, if you will, engaged in the operational activities of the Fire Training Center and the Office of Emergency Management. By reducing 6 of these 14 employees, it equates to a 45% reduction in staff. How can DES be expected to maintain its operations with a 45% reduction in staff? These reductions will absolutely affect every level of public safety within the county, from emergency responder training to emergency response. In 2012, we provided over 135,000 hours of fire and EMS training, 9,600 hours of OEM training, and 2,900 hours of citizen emergency response team training. Who is going to support this level of activity? Who will maintain the training props and fire simulators? Who will maintain all the projectors, computers, and other educational technology in our classrooms? Who will produce training videos and record training presentations for online distribution? How will our training continue to be innovative without enough staff to bring ideas to life? What will happen to the county's emergency responder network when we can no longer accommodate the almost 30,000 students we train a year? How can we be expected to maintain any level of preparedness for disasters and hazards? Who is going to manage and support our emergency equipment, such as generators and pumps? Who is going to operate our specialized vehicles and equipment? Who will be there to operate the EOC in times of severe weather emergencies, such as blizzards, tornadoes, and hurricanes? What would we have done without these positions during Hurricanes Irene and Sandy? Who would have deployed generators, pumps, food and water, and shelter supplies to every corner of the county? Whether it is dispatching, training, hazard mitigation, or disaster response, every legislative district, every municipality, and every emergency response organization in the county depends on our department. We have the technical experts, the specialized equipment, and the unique facilities that are mission critical to public safety. Every single day, as well as in times of disasters, we prove our value. And what value the taxpayer gets, we are one of the smallest departments with one of the smallest budgets. Our department aggressively seeks grants. Our hazmat and technical rescue teams are comprised almost exclusively of unpaid volunteers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Destalacque.
Good evening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to address you. I'm Destalacque. I'm the Director of Development at Open Door Family Medical Center, and I'm here to just talk to you a little bit about community health centers and some of the concerns that we have. Community health centers serve a vital role in Westchester County and across the nation. In fact, we're nationally recognized as a healthcare delivery model that works across the country, that provides the right care at the right time, all the time. So at a time when the rest of the country is embracing the community health center delivery model, and at a time when we should all be celebrating our success, we are instead here before you, and this is a holiday thing. My kids always tell me they know Christmas is around the corner when budget hearing becomes a vocabulary word in our household. So we're here instead before you to ask you to reverse County Executive Rob Astorino's proposal to eliminate $2.6 million in healthcare funding. And I just want to stress this again. We're not talking about reductions. We're talking about eliminating. The impact to Open Door alone is over $500,000. Community health centers in Westchester County serve more than 200,000 individuals, and there are a number of us in the room, which I'm sure you'll hear from as well. Across the county, from Peekskill to Yonkers, Greenburgh, Portchester, Ossining, right here around the area in Mount Kisco and other communities. And the proposed cuts pay for mandated, New York State mandated services. These are screening and treatment of communicable diseases like sexually transmitted diseases, tuberculosis, of which this past year, we had an active case of drug-resistant tuberculosis, influenza, and other such communicable diseases. Community health centers currently provide these services through a contractual agreement with the county, and these funds are available. These funds flow from the CDC to Albany to the county. So these are not funds that you would otherwise apply elsewhere. These are funds that come directly from the CDC. So we currently, community health centers, provide these services through this contractual agreement with the county, and we're doing it pretty well. These funds are currently used by us, and we deliver value each and every day. And the cut, or the elimination of the funds, rather, doesn't save the county any money. What in fact it does is, because these services are New York State mandated, the county is going to have to find somebody else to deliver the services. And right now on the table, the recommendation is that the health department can deliver these services in White Plains. And we think that's a problem because not all of the residents in the county live in White Plains, can't access it. We provide this value, and we're asking that you reconsider this cut for health centers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mariam Matabar.
I'm here tonight to speak for Mariam. I can't possibly say her last name, so I'm not going to try. Sorry, Mariam. My name is Janice Shaw. I am a registered dietitian. I, too, work for Open Door Family Medical Centers, and I specifically work in the school-based health centers in Portchester, New York. where we service over 2,500 students in that school district. I'm here tonight to ask you to consider the real costs of cutting programs that community health centers provide. So I ask you, is it really cost effective to delete programs that help prevent the spread of communicable diseases and screen for illnesses like tuberculosis, sexually transmitted diseases, pneumonia, influenza? Is it really cost effective to lessen the accessibility of quality care in communities across Westchester? Is it really cost effective for patients to end up in ERs or worse, not get care or treatment, medical treatment that they need because it's not available in their community? Is it really cost effective not to provide the safety net of prevention and treatment that we offer in community health centers and reduce the standard of care that we can afford our patients? Who picks up the slack when patients are not treated, diseases are not managed, or communicable diseases spread? Community health centers are not fringe benefits, nor do we represent frivolous spending. We just want to do our job. We want to serve our communities, we want to treat or prevent illness, and we want to do it in the most cost-effective way. Spend a day in a community health center. You don't even have to spend a day. Spend a few hours in a community health center. Better yet, come to the school-based health centers. I'll show you what we do, and you'll see how cost-effective and how important and vital our work is every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Liana Fixell, and as Liana is approaching, oh, never mind, I'll do that in a minute. Liana Fixell.
Hello, thank you. Again, I'm Liana Fixell. I also work for Open Door Family Medical Centers. And in my position in our care coordination department, I work with chronically ill patients, adults with diabetes, hypertension, and HIV, and children with asthma. I have also worked with patients with cancer diagnoses to help them get access to care, often through the New York State Department of Health Cancer Services Program, which provides breast, cervical, and colorectal cancer screenings for eligible uninsured adults. No one, no matter what their income, race, gender, country of origin, or health insurance status, can treat and manage these diseases alone. It takes a team of people working together, which is exactly what we provide at Open Door. Our comprehensive, accessible care makes it possible for patients, many of whom are struggling to find work and put food on the table, to understand their illnesses, afford their medications, participate in support groups, and see doctors who actually know their personal histories. We know that this is how quality, efficient healthcare is provided, and we know that won't happen in a fractured system of separate clinics, and it certainly will not happen in emergency rooms, which is where many of these patients are at risk of ending up if Open Door cannot continue to provide the quantity and quality of services that it currently provides. Like Janice, I invite each of you to spend a day with me, with my colleagues, so that you too can actually experience how hard our patients work to keep themselves and their families healthy, how terrifying it can be to face an illness when you don't have health insurance or family support or a stable income, and how necessary it is to keep funding Westchester's neighborhood health centers if we want to see all of this county's residents thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeanette Phillips, and as Jeanette is coming up, could we have Gregory Krause, James Olenek, Rose Noonan, and Randolph Kennedy, please.
As stated, my name is Jeanette Phillips, the Reverend Jeanette Phillips, and having been 40 years a part of the health center movement, I think that title Reverend had to come at a very dear time. I want to focus my comments this evening on two key elements: the historical context of the funding and the impact of this funding on Hudson River healthcare. The county has always been a strong supporter of neighborhood health centers in this county. As you may remember, some of you may go back that far in different ways, that the support began as an in-kind service and resource to the centers. That support evolved into a direct contract with the health centers when the county was looking to cut direct costs. The contract was to provide the mandated public health services in the neighborhood health centers, as my other colleagues have shared with you. These services included TB screening, HIV screening, administering immunizations, coordinating community-based H1N1 response in education, STDs, STIs, screenings, and treatments. These are valuable, much-needed services in our community. While Hudson River Healthcare has continued to provide these mandated health services, it has also increased the number of Westchester County uninsured residents who are assisting in accessing services through our health centers. Health centers are the lifeline of our communities. These centers take care of people who would not have any other place to turn to. And we certainly have learned that the emergency rooms are not the place to get primary care. The centers take care of people when they don't have other places to turn to. Young girls who are pregnant, foster kids, senior citizens, in public housing, and the working poor. Some may say the middle class, but I think we have to kind of relegate that to the working poor. The health centers give care to everyone, no matter what their life circumstance. And the first question is not, what kind of insurance do you have? But instead, how can we help you today? I urge you to restore the health center funds and override the county executive's veto in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Gregory Krause.
My name is Greg Krause, and I've been a resident of Westchester my entire life. I'm the third generation to grow up with literally Pound Ridge Reservation as their backyard. So all the parks are important to me. I'm going to focus on that one because that's the one I grew up with and I know the best. We all know how important the deer management program is to the county. We've heard everyone talk about it. We heard about it last year. It's vital to the health of our forests and the quality of our water. And we have to keep that going. I know it is proposed to keep going with hourly employees if the curator of wildlife, Dan Atchison, is laid off. It's just not going to work. I've been involved with a number of deer management programs in the past, and none of them went as smoothly or with as few issues as this program is running now. Most of them were done in way less controversial areas on a much smaller scale, and they just can't compete with this program. It's because Dan is there, whether he's getting paid or not, on or off the clock, at 4:30 in the morning to meet the hunters. He answers his cell phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether he's on the clock or not. He'll alleviate, any concerns the public might have, any concerns or issues the hunters may have. And he's just there all the time. And that's really what makes this program work. He became a hunter himself to immerse himself in this program just so he knew how to run it effectively. An hourly employee cannot compete with that. Lots of programs in the area now are basing their programs on this deer management program. And this one is a large-scale program that is supporting Connecticut and Pound Ridge and Somers deer management programs as well. Pound Ridge, they were quoted, Chief Ryan was quoted in the paper the other day saying that if the county stops their deer management program, they will cancel their program because they'll be overrun. And that's just not acceptable for the health of our environment. Dan has been running this program since the beginning, and he's made so many connections and a network of people and agencies, state, federal, local. He's helped Mianus Gorge do reforestation studies and deer population studies. He's helped Fordham University do tick-borne and bloodborne pathogen studies. He has made this program what it is. He's helped reduce goose populations and beaver populations and save the county thousands of dollars in repairs and outside contractor costs. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. James Olenek.
We all know deer population needs to be controlled, so I won't waste time talking on that subject. We also know that deer have a huge impact on our forest regeneration. Our parks have been overgrazed for years, and it shows. Dan is one of the very few capable people who cares, and it shows in his efforts by the amount of time he puts in and what he does. He is dedicated to protecting and managing our parks for us. I have been a participant in the Adaptive Deer Management Program since its inception and can attest that it has been working very well. We also know America has an obesity problem. Programs like this are a vital tool in getting children outdoors and away from TVs and video games. Also, thousands of pounds of healthy meat are donated from our program to the people who would usually survive on cheap processed foods. The parks are really the only large tracts of lands left in which many average people can participate in these activities. Without this program, hunters are left to find willing landowners, and they're very hard to find, or sneak in properties, and that does not allow for proper deer management. Out of the entire conservation division and county staff, Dan Atchison is the only one with the qualifications, experience, connections, and know-how to run the wildlife management programs, and has been doing it full-time since the inception of his title. He has broken unheard of ground in 2 huge fronts that I know of, and I'm sure there's others. He has convinced the DEP to give his program access to the adjoining properties, and even bigger, he has broken through government agencies to be the only person I have ever heard of to write bonus tags. This is a power DEC officers hold in high esteem and would likely be lost forever. This privilege, which Dan has acquired, allows the volunteer worker hunters to effectively harvest more animals. We don't have to wait for certain days and in inconvenient times and wait on lines to switch out our tags. We can fill the tag in the morning and be back out the same day with our bonus tag. I will conclude by saying, I hope the people who make this decision see the value that Dan brings to the table. He is the exception when it comes to self-motivation and in no way mirrors the lazy image or prevalent stereotype many people have of government employees. He is the person who can raise the public's awareness and perception.
Thank you, James. Rose Noonan.
Good evening. I'm Rose Noonan. I'm the Executive Director of the Housing Action Council. I'm here tonight, however, as Chair of the Westchester Women's Agenda. As most of you know, the Westchester Women's Agenda is a voice for Westchester's women, particularly low-income women. Our members represent a broad spectrum of political and philosophical views and share a strong commitment to social justice for women. We are urging you to assure funding for all the safety net services that we advocate for economic development, for housing and homeless prevention, violence against women, health and mental health, children's services, civil legal services, and immigration services, and assure that all those services remain a county priority. We are pleased that the county's budget includes certain responsible funding levels for services that provides for victims of domestic violence and also for certain legal services. However, all our services are interrelated, and without all of them receiving the support that you've provided in the past, the safety net services are in danger. You've heard from our members, a number of our members tonight. Our particular agenda that we're asking you to consider is to restore funding for economic development and empowerment. You heard from Community Capital Resources. I believe you'll be hearing from the Women's Enterprise Development Center. We're asking you to restore funding for housing and homelessness prevention so that we can continue to provide technical assistance and access to pre-development funds, and also to prevent evictions. We asked you to restore funding for the neighborhood health centers. I know that I was listening here, I heard strong cases made by Ossining Open Door and Hudson River Healthcare. Restore funding for children's services. Just the number of children were here and their representatives today, and all those that are continuing to stay through the evening. Restore funding for the elder law services, and restore funding for the legal services for immigrants to help stabilize and formalize their immigration status. You have worked with us closely, and we appreciate that, and we acknowledge this. Please work with us closely again for the 2013 budget, and we look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Randolph Kennedy, and as Randolph is coming up, could we have Steve Kahn, Vincent Altamari, George Ondal, and Abraham Veragesi?
Evening, legislators. My name's Randolph Kennedy. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I've been part of many deer management programs. The deer issue in Westchester County is something that's got to be taken seriously. If you all want to drink bottled water, I see it all on the table. That's what you're going to be drinking out of Maine, because these deer are doing damage. I'm not in Dan's program, but Dan is one of the smartest guys I know. I was actually, talking with him last weekend, and this program is booming. It's the best it's ever been. It's something that shouldn't be cut. My experience over the years going to the county parks, growing up in Pound Ridge Reservation, the curators are some of the best. If you cut them, you're going to lose something and you're never going to get it back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randolph. Steve Kahn.
Thank you. I'm Stephen Kahn, board member of the Housing Action Council. I'm a mortgage banker by profession. My office is located in Yorktown Heights. I care deeply about the housing needs of those on fixed and limited incomes. The county executive budget proposes to fund Housing Action Council at 90% of its 2012 level. I ask that the Board of Legislators increase it to our 2012 level of $100,000. Although this is a small ask, it is critical to the sustainability of our program and the organizations and people we serve. A quote from Sue Smith, chair of the Hastings Affordable Housing Committee, demonstrates the need for Housing Action Council's technical assistance program. Sue Smith, it would be an impossible task for an all-volunteer organization like Hastings-on-Hudson's Affordable Housing Committee to create housing without professional guidance. As our advisor, Housing Action Council is able to identify suitable funding alternatives, develop the required applications, and administer the successful ones on our behalf. Westchester County's support for these technical services is an essential component enabling us to fulfill the county's housing mandate for our village. We strongly urge your continued funding for Housing Action Council. The $100,000 in support from Westchester County facilitates approximately 300 housing units annually and leverages an average $150,000 per unit in other public and private financing. You as board members are keenly aware of the need for housing in this county and what it takes to develop 300 housing units. We cannot afford to lose one unit. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Vincent Altamari.
Good evening, Honorable Board. My name is Vincent Altamari. I'm a construction manager with Department of Public Works for Westchester County. I'm one of 12 in my department slated for elimination. Recently, at a budget hearing with the Board of Legislators, it was stated that by eliminating the 12 of us, it would save the county, DPW, $935,000. We feel that's not quite correct. By our accounting, in our discussion and review of the charges for the 12 of us towards the capital budget projects, our billable time comes to over 13,000 hours. When you take what they bill us out at and what we actually cost the county, there's a return of almost $17,000 per person per year. So we don't cost the county, we don't cost DPW anything as long as there are capital projects. We also provide over 3,300 hours approximately of non-chargeable services. That's inspecting of office buildings, bridges, roads throughout the county. You're not going to get consultants to do that. And if we're gone, that work gets pushed off to the other remaining DPW employees, and their design work and their construction work now has to get done to consultants. That's money, and the money you pay them, that's out the window, and there's no return on whatever you pay them. So the original savings of $17,000 a person comes out to a little over $200,000. The additional monies to consultants and everything, that's a loss of another over $200,000. So from $935,000 in savings, the county is actually going to lose over $400,000 in revenue from us doing the work, and that $17,000 goes towards paying operating expenses and administrative people's salaries, and without impacting the taxpayers. We provide services throughout the county. We save the county money. I don't see how this can go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. George and Ondo.
Good evening, County Board of Legislators. It's good to see you here in northern Westchester. I'm remiss that I don't see the county executive or Mr. Jenkins, both who are the prime candidates for a county executive next year. But I'm here to talk on two issues. Let me give you breaking news first. I just left a Peekskill meeting, and our liberal administration there has just raised our taxes 3.8% and got rid of almost 30 people from City Hall. We are the highest taxed county in America. I know we're dedicated tonight to keeping taxes down the best possible. I'm the head of an anti-tax organization in Peekskill. I know Mr. Testa very well. Good to see you, John. And he knows I've been a proven tax fighter for over 20 years. I'm also president of Wild Birds of the Hudson Valley, and we have to preserve our Canadian geese and our deer of the Hudson Valley. So if this curator wants a job, maybe he better stop killing the deer and the Canadian geese. But my issue is money tonight. I'm for lowering taxes. You lowered taxes 2% last year, and that's very good. But we can't do it on the backs of the Peekskill Health Center, the Ossining Health Center, and the Mount Vernon Health Center. A county, a city, or a country is only as good as how they take care of their poor and their indigent. People can't travel from Peekskill to White Plains to get health services. So I hope Mr. Testa, especially, who's my representative, implores the county executive to put that back in the budget. But it also gets to my second issue tonight, the Canadian geese and how the Parks Department took care of them. They just had on News 12, there's a gooseinator that they paid $2,900 per gooseinator to chase the Canadian geese. But worse than that, a Mr. Tartaglia rounded up 570 geese last year, had them euthanized. And what I found out in a weekly paper later on, at the cost of $2,000 a goose, that's over $120,000, if it's true. I want to pledge from you tonight, I guess you can't answer me, I'm just making a statement, that if you want to win next year, you got to look out for our foul-footed friends, our birds of the Hudson, our deer. I used to drive up from Yonkers, and how beautiful it was to see deer along the Taconic. You hardly see any anymore. Why do these people think it's so important to control the deer population? Maybe we should control the human population. We want lower taxes, but don't cut the health services to the health centers. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you, George. Abraham Veragisi, and as Abraham is coming up, could we have Joanne Clark, Cheryl Hunter Grant, Regina Eversley, and Miriam Ortiz?
Good evening. I introduced myself once again. My name is Abraham Verghese, and I work in the Department of Public Works, MOB 5th floor, as an office assistant word processing. I have been employed by Westchester County for 10 years and support many people in the Department of Public Works. My title is Office Assistant, which is a grade 6 pay level, but my duties include work that was formerly done by two grade 12. As retirements and layoffs took away some of these people, I was given most part of their work. My job, supporting the engineering department, requires me to put together contract specifications and drawings going out for bid, management of drawing system, archive and retrieve electronically and manually all spec books and plans, check as-built drawings, scan them, process them for payment, coordinate with acquisition and contract, and so on. This work was previously done by engineers. After a period of training and study and experience, I am handling all of this work in addition to supporting administrative services with complicated tasks that I alone am responsible for. For example, create sophisticated multi-line purchase orders for capital projects, assist in the DPW budget preparation, such as send out budget advisories to all the departments, and all types of office support. I have been trained to do is both unique and saving money because I have taken on responsibilities of higher paid employees along with my administrative work. I know my supervisors appreciate what I do and had not considered eliminating my position. The issue I have now is created by a procedure called bumping, in which any office assistant in DPW with seniority can bump me out of my current position. Unfortunately, there is a person in DPW Garage Division whose office assistant position is on the layoff list and has the seniority to bump me. The individual has no background in my specific job responsibilities, especially the technical engineering aspect. It would probably take several years to get back to the present mastering of my job and all its responsibilities. So I am here now again to ask if you would reinstate the other office assistant position in DPW Garage Division, which is scheduled to be eliminated. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Abraham. Joanne Clark. Is Joanne here? Cheryl Hunter Grant.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Hunter Grant, and although I work in the county, not for the county, but work in the county, I'm here representing myself, a resident of the county, a homeowner, 29 years here in Westchester, resident of Cortlandt. So, Mr. Tester, you are my representative today. Thank you, first of all, for supporting and encouraging this democratic process at a time especially when democracy is being denied in many places across our nation. I thank you for allowing this process to happen here in the county. I also was a former member of the youth board here at the county until my term expired, but still have a passion and commitment for children and families. And Mr. Testa, I'm reminded when you ran for office, your flyer that you sent to my house said how you and County Executive Astorino were supporting children and families. So I'm asking you to remember those days and to take the leadership in having all of your county legislators join you in ensuring that services and funds are in the budget, even if it requires vetoing some of the, or overriding the vetoes from the county legislator. I'm asking you to fulfill the commitment you sent to me in that message. In supporting child care, families need it. It just makes sense so families can continue to work. Not everyone has the benefit of being able to provide that for themselves and to work. So we need to ensure that the subsidy levels on the parent share fees are maintained at that lower rate of 20%, and that eligibility is available for families over 200% of the federal poverty level. It's important. It allows our families to continue to work and our kids to benefit. It's also important to support youth development by increasing the investing kids funds to $400,000. I encourage you to do that. The youth are our future of tomorrow. We must make the investment today. You don't get a chance tomorrow to invest in kids. So we've got to do that today so that they can live productive lives and be contributing members of society. And then finally, although a number of the other issues that have been raised today are important as well, supporting healthy children and youth by restoring the funding to the neighborhood health centers. Resorting to a centralized facility has a number of flaws. First, it limits access to those most at need. If we think about the commute from Peekskill, Cortlandt area down to White Plains without your own car, it's about a 2-hour ride on the bus. That people will make the choice not to go get health care. We've got an opportunity to invest in the health centers, in the neighborhoods where folks are, in addition to having that care and centralizing it. It won't afford the opportunity for a medical home. So we're providing some discrete service, but need to provide it in a preventive method by supporting the neighborhood health centers. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Regina Eversley.
Hello, everybody. My name is Regina Eversley. Thank you for having me and listening to me today. I volunteer at the health center. We work with a lot of HIV. We work with a lot of people that don't understand the system. We work with a lot of people that has a lot of problems. I'm one. Okay, I've been there since '73. Okay, I raised my kids through that, you know, and I'm there, still there. And, you know, I have a lot of medical issues, okay? I have lupus, I have heart valve, I got 2 hips, 2 shoulders, 2 heart, you know, everything new on me right now, okay? So, you know, I've been through a lot, you know, but the health center's always been there for me. And for y'all to even think about taking that away from us hurts a lot, because this is our foundation. You know, a lot of times I've worked all my life, you know, and now, you know, they tell me they're closing this, and this is what I need right now. I never needed it as much as I do now, you know, because I'm living off a pension right now, okay? I'm having a rough time, and with all my medical issues, and for y'all to do this to us now, it's really going to hurt our community, and thank you.
Thank you, Regina. Miriam Ortiz.
Good evening. I've been a member of the Community Health Center. I worked for them for a while. I was laid off. I became a volunteer. I came to Peekskill 27 years ago, and I came with my husband. Had 3 daughters, and I was in a domestic violence relationship, so he ended up walking out on me. I was left with my 3 little girls, and I didn't know which way to go. I had went to the health center for help for my children, the health care, and at the time I was not able to work. And I tell you, I don't know what I would have done without the health center, the health care I got for my children. And then I became a volunteer, because I wanted to be involved with the community. It's serious out there in Peekskill. The high-risk population, I mean, HIV and AIDS, syphilis, gonorrhea, on and on and on, you know, and the health center is truly needed. Now my daughters take their children to the health center for care. My daughter's also a single mom, and I'm just urge you not to cut fundings for the health centers, please. We need them. I'm going for surgery next month, a major surgery, and it makes me sad to even think about anything happening with this health center, and my children are left behind, you know. I may not make it out of there. And I want to know my children have a place to go for their children health care. So please, I'm urging you not to cut fundings for the health center. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. Is Joanne Clark here? So could we have Jamie Rosenblum, Wilfredo Morel, Christopher Bowman, Howland Robinson, and Jan Antonucci, please. First would be Jamie Rosenblum.
Good evening, honorable legislators. I am Probation Officer Jamie Rosenblum, shield number 421 with Westchester County Probation. Tonight, many of my brothers and sister officers are here and would love to individually explain to you what we do and why our positions are so imperative to a safe and secure Westchester County. But instead, I will be the only speaker and will read segments of a letter, which I have handed out to you, written and mailed November 9th of this year by one of your constituents from Mount Kisco to our Assistant Commissioner, Varela, regarding their experience with Westchester County Probation and how our department and our officers make a difference. The probationer's name has been changed for privacy reasons. To Assistant Commissioner Ed Varela, This letter was written in regards to the great outcome that my son had with probation officer Alex Montalvo. John was arrested for DWI and has now been sober for a year and a half. He has recovered quite well from the setbacks and challenges he has faced as a result of his excessive consumption of alcohol, irresponsible choice to drive after drinking, and the resulting legal penalties. Our son has definitely turned his life around, and we are at once grateful and proud. He is now a straight-A student at Westchester Community College, a member of the Honor Society, and will be transferring to a four-year university in September 2013. During the past 16 months, Officer Montalvo has been very supportive of John and his efforts, and we believe that his part to play in John's movement towards a better future has been very important. We want you to know that Officer Montalvo is a kind, caring, helpful probation officer, and we believe that he has been an integral part of my son's movement towards a positive future. While we are proud for our son for taking the necessary steps towards recovery, we also believe that Officer Montalvo's helpful and astute facilitation in those necessary steps have helped greatly in making the change in our son's life possible. We all sense Officer Montalvo's belief that people who have made serious missteps along life's paths deserve a chance to make it right and become the best they can be. Officer Montalvo and the Westchester County Department of Probation have provided my son with the resources required to ensure his recovery, help him succeed in all of his efforts, and have him fully realize that driving while intoxicated is a very serious and regrettable offense that will not be tolerated. I would like to thank you and Officer Montalvo for all the hard work and continuous effort directed at improving the lives of probationers, their families, and everyone in Westchester County. We have experienced the beneficial effects of these efforts firsthand and are truly appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Wilfredo Morel.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you once again. My name is Wilfredo Morel, and I come here. I'm an employee for Hudson River Community Health, Director of Hispanic Health. But I'm also a resident of this county, and I'm also representing the people, men and women of color in our county. And I just would like to read to you something shortly that I just picked on the internet in reference to our county. Westchester County, 8 cases. 2009, 3,243. At that same year, 201 were newly diagnosed. In New York State, excluding New York City, Westchester County is home to the largest number of people living with HIV and AIDS in any other county in New York State. And by that I'm saying it is true that last year we were same place, almost same time, but we were also telling you about this budget and about basically hitting on the money that will definitely, clearly affect our community of color, and no less our low-income community, which if you make the equation, it's the same situation. It is a direct effect on our community. It is not so much that our community are not here tonight because they don't care, but a lot of them are working, and a lot of them are also in the hospital. A lot of them are in programs that are trying basically to help them basically to better themselves. It is extremely important that in making this decision and not allowing basically the restoration of this money is going to, healthcare is a right. It's not just something that you just give to the person. So it is extremely important that in doing this, in doing the budget that this money is restored, it is money that belongs to our community. It belongs to us for us to do a better job. In addition to that, when it comes to healthcare, we also talk about arts. I'm also an artist in my community. And one of the things that happen is that through the arts, we also can see result of prevention. There is also the Art Westchester in our community who definitely has been one of the forefront in community arts, especially in community of colors, when it comes to use art as a way to communicate and bring community together. Just think as to how we can better, invest our money. It is not so much that the money that we are spending or the money that you are basically putting there is not the money that was just, given to us, but it's money that, even though it might not be as significant in terms of amount, it is something that community can do miracle. Community health center come from the community. Arts come from grassroots community. Both, all of that basically are integrated together. It is an investment. It is an investment, like somebody mentioned it. It is our children, it is our grassroots community. So please, please, please restore. Just make that investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Wilfredo. Christopher Bowman.
Good evening, honorable legislators. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Christopher Bowman. I've been a Westchester County worker for over 9 years in the Department of Correction as an employment counselor. My position was one of the 126 that was targeted in the proposed budget. I'm the only employment counselor at the Department of Correction, the only one who helps offenders and then ex-offenders with preparing for and then attaining gainful employment. My position saves taxpayer dollars and affects public safety. I work with both the adults and the youth as young as age 16. And if an ex-offender is working, they're not relying on DSS or unemployment. More importantly, they're not reoffending, but are being productive members of the community by working, paying taxes, and supporting their families. Studies have proven the single biggest factor of why offenders come to jail and then reoffend is because they don't have a job or the skill set to attain one. This is not something that can be absorbed by other workers. This is hard work, and if this position is not there, they will lose this vital and critical piece that prevents this vicious cycle. Most of the 1,600 incarcerated individuals at the Department of Correction will return back to the Westchester community, yours and mine. Our county jail is called the Department of Corrections. But what will we be correcting if we take away the most important thing that can prevent them from coming back to prison? I've helped many people over the years, and I hope I get the opportunity to continue to serve Westchester and make it a better and safer place to live for us all. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Christopher. Howland Robinson.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. We've heard tonight many people speaking about programs they care deeply about. Causing all this, in my view, is actually the New York State Legislature. The county budget is actually a state budget. 85% of the tax money is going up to New York State. It's not staying here in the county. If we could keep a big piece of that 85%, a lot fewer layoffs would occur. If we could keep a lot more of that 85%, a lot less programs would have to be cut. Adding insult to injury, the legislature passed a tax cap. That's a good thing, but they did not give us any mandate relief. The effect of a tax cap without the mandate relief is that the local spending in the county budget gets cut, but the state spending, the 85%, does not get cut. So the New York State Legislature says, oh, we feel your pain, we're sorry for your high property taxes, we're going to impose a cap, but the effect of the cap is you all have to cut your spending, cut your local services, lay off your people, and we don't have to cut any of our spending that's in your budget. So I would request that our county legislators take a public position. I would request that you join with your local elected officials in the school and the town. This issue with mandates, with state spending, it's not just the county budget, it's also our school budgets, it's also our municipal budget. Earlier this evening, a gentleman from Peekskill mentioned, I think it was 38 layoffs down there. State law has a lot to do with why those layoffs are occurring. And the only way we're going to be able to fix this is if local elected officials, school board members, town board members, county legislators, if you would all join together publicly and explain to citizens how much of our local money is being taken by the New York State Legislature. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Howland. Jan Antonucci. And while Jan is coming up, could we have Whitney Lane, Tino Martin, Liz Kaufman, Sue Ellen Harsey, and Alexis Garcia, please.
Good evening, and thank you for listening. I'm Jan Antonucci. I'm a member of the Somers Land Trust, and I am speaking on behalf of the Somers Land Trust, our entire board. As you enter your budget deliberations, the Somers Land Trust strongly urges you to restore the curators of wildlife positions, as well as the deer management program, the monies that have been cut from the executive's proposed budget. Should the cuts stand, not only will the county lose irreplaceable and important services to the citizens of this county, but nonprofit groups such as the Somers Land Trust will suffer serious diminishment in our ability to deliver the important services that the county and all of its residents have come to rely upon. We're currently the stewards of the 370 acres that represent the town-county-owned portions of Westchester's newest park, the Anglefly Preserve, in our town of Somers. In this capacity, we wrote the management plan, oversaw the writing and implementation of the forestry management plan, have constructed 10 miles of trails and associated structures, including a 40-foot bridge and 2 composting toilet comfort stations, implemented a highly successful hunting program, and conduct ongoing maintenance of all trails and structures. We do this at no cost to Westchester County taxpayers. In the last year alone, we've provided over $30,000 in services. We're a really small group of interested amateurs. How have we been able to do this? Very simply through the hard work and good offices of the very services that are now on the chopping block. With the director of the Deer Management Program, Dan Atchison's support and guidance, we were able to set up our successful and very safe hunting program, a requirement of the agreement whereby Anglefly was purchased that would have been very costly without the program and the volunteers. In writing the management plan, a project that could have cost taxpayers thousands of dollars, we received crucial assistance from John Baker of the Parks Department and Beth Hare, former program administrator for conservation. Additionally, we continue to rely on the entire Department of Parks and its Conservation Division for assistance with our ongoing stewardship efforts. Our point is, not only does the department and its curators do good work that saves the county money in the long run and makes Westchester, with its extensive natural areas, the wonderful place to live and work that it is. Well, anyhow, thank you very much, and we urge you to restore the curators of wildlife position and the deer management program. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Whitney Lane. Is Whitney here? Is that Whitney? Oh, our chairman, Ken Jenkins, has arrived. Welcome, Ken. Okay. Whitney Lane is not here. Tino Martin, please.
Good evening, county legislators and the public. I want to thank Linda Puglisi and the town of Cortlandt for hosting us. My name is Tino Martin. I work for the County of Westchester Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Department. I'm stationed here in the town of Cortlandt at our beautiful Blue Mountain Reservation, George's Island, and Blue Mountain Sportsman Center. We do all the maintenance on over 1,800 acres of park property, and that's the second largest park in the county. We have a rental cabin at Blue Mountain Reservation, 3 picnic areas, 29 miles of mountain biking and hiking trails at Blue Mountain Reservation, along with several buildings and residences at our Welcher Avenue location. We have served we have several hundred acres of passive recreational lands also that we oversee, such as the Peterson Pond on Montrose Station Road, Montrose Point Road locations, and the Sportsman Center. The Sportsman Center is a multi-recreational area with several options for practice shooting, such as small bore ranges, large bore ranges, rifle practice ranges, and shooting pistol and trap and skeet. We also provide a practice location for over 32 public municipal police departments here, and they have a place to go where they're running out of places to go, like Camp Smith, which eliminated a lot of their space. So we provide a good location for them to access training and qualification for all their officers. So we're expanding and we're increasing our facility, and we thank you for all the capital funding that you had for our roads and improvements at Georges Island, Blue Mountain. That helped a lot. We're growing as fast as we possibly can, but we've had a few layoffs last year, and I replaced 2 people myself. So we're growing faster than we can keep up. So now they're asking for us to do what we used to have 12. I've been with the Parks Department for 30 years, and we used to have 12 positions in these 3 locations, and now we have 6. So you're asking us to lose another facility. Georges Island is also part of our responsibility, and it consists of 200 acres of picnic areas, pavilions, a residence, the only Westchester County boat ramp to the Hudson River, hiking trails that comprise some of New York State Greenway Trail System, hundreds of acres that include Montrose State Forest that we're also responsible for taking care of, part of the Hudson River Walkway. All these areas are maintained by only 4 laborers, 1 superintendent and an assistant superintendent for all year-round program and services and amenities. We don't close down like some parks. We do this all year round. 1,800 acres divided by 6 is 300 acres per person. That's pretty difficult. It's a great amount of work. So I hope that you understand that 360 acres per person is what we'd have to deal with if we lost another person. And as you know, taking care of your own home and a quarter acre of property is difficult. Imagine trying to do this with over 360 acres. I plead that you try and save some positions in the Parks Department. And again, Dan Atkinson was very responsible for a 3D archery course that we put in, and I want to thank him for that and try and save his position also. Thank you.
Thank you, Tino. Liz Kaufman.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be heard at this meeting. I'm Liz Kaufman, and I'm Program Director of the Open Book Program, which is a JCY Westchester Community Partners program. The JCY Westchester Community Partners is a major provider of quality of life intergenerational programs that serve over 8,000 seniors and young people throughout Westchester. In our program, senior citizens, the children and adolescents of Westchester County, as well as their families, work together every day making Westchester County the wonderful county that it is today. Our programs include SMART, Reading Buddies After School, Introduction to America, Open Book, Summer Reading Buddies, and STACK. The program that I am in charge of is the Open Book Program, and we have 22 volunteers who are all senior citizens, and they have the opportunity to come in and read to the children in the pediatric clinics at the Westchester Medical Center and White Plains Hospital. And they also provide parents with information to help how they can help their child. And our material is handed out in English and in Spanish for the parents. We give away about 10,000 new and used books to children and their families. The importance of literacy is reinforced by the doctors at the Medical Center and White Plains Hospital who prescribe reading to their patients and the families. The love of reading and its importance is introduced and nurtured. Starting children reading early is known to have a very beneficial effect on their future educational experience. Children who are read to are most likely to be productive adults. We respectfully request that funding for senior services in Westchester County be restored to 2010-2011 level. We ask that the county restore funding to make up for federal cutbacks. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Sue Ellen Havsey?
Good evening. My name is Sue Ellen Havsey, and I am from Yonkers. I represent JCY Westchester Community Partners. Have you ever given a 6-month-old the first book they have ever seen? I and 21 other older adults do this when we volunteer at Open Book. The feeling of seeing a young baby's eyes widen, feet kick, and arms reach out when they see the colorful pictures of the book they get is indescribable. Volunteers gave out approximately 10,000 books to 5,000 children last year at Open Book. Open Book fosters literacy in children. I am an Open Book volunteer. I work for Smiles. Please fund JCY Westchester Community Partners so we can continue this valuable program. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue Ellen. Alexis Garcia, and as Alexis is coming up, Terry Gwillen, Kimberly Gotson, Elio Giuliani, and Roy Stillman, please.
Again, my name is Alexis Garcia, and I work for the Department of Public Works in the position of Assistant Architect. My position has been targeted for layoff by the county executives' 2013 budget. I want to bring to your attention a sample of our workload this year and 2013 that reflect how busy we are at the moment and illustrates the need for our design staff. The following is a list of projects that I'm working on or am scheduled to work on. The Armory for public safety, the Academy upgrade, whose bonding for design has been approved with a construction estimate of $8 million. Saxon Woods new maintenance facility with bonding approved for design, construction cost estimate $3 million. Maplewood new maintenance facility, bonding approved for design, construction cost estimate $3 million. Besides, I worked on restaurant renovation at the Westchester County Airport. Currently, I'm working on the loading dock renovation for the new generator set at the Westchester County Airport with a construction estimate of $1.3 million. I also finished the new offices for ground handling crew at Hangar A with an area of 2,000 square feet. To illustrate the amount of work for a head of architectural section and 3 assistant architects, the following is a list of projects that are currently in the design phase or ready for construction. Many of them will extend into next year. Terrytown Lighthouse, project management, space utilization studies and moving departments throughout county facilities, MOB, exterior repair, phase 2, Muscat Farm main house restoration, which is a historic project, historic restoration at Ward Pound Ridge, Sportsman Center rehab Blue Mountain Reservation, rehabilitation of various buildings at Blue Mountain Reservation, Mohansic Golf Course new car storage facility and clubhouse. Some of these projects construction costs are in the million. Typically, the private industry costs at 10% for design for any architectural project. There are projects on hold, and I just have listed 4 here out of 15 that I found in the list that I was watching today. Well, okay, I guess to recap, if work cannot be done by DPW staff, it will need to be awarded to consultants at a considerable cost increase and reduce efficiency, since the county staff is already familiar with our facilities and infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. Terry Gillen. Is Terry still here?
Kimberly Gotson. Good evening.
Chairman Myers, legislators. I'd like to bring your attention to a quote from the Journal News this week that I feel sums up the government culture that has been propagated in Westchester by County Executive Astorino over the last 3 years. His Commissioner of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation was defending her department's cuts before the Board of Legislators Budget and Appropriations Committee and trying to justify how they are working out how to continue the work of the 17 parks employees who are slated to be laid off this year. She was asked why, with all the cuts that she proposed, the greens fees of the county golf courses remained the same. She stated that, well, they'd gone up for $6 over the last 3 years. That puts Westchester in the top of the middle of the fees of similar courses across the region. And her quote was, "We desperately do not want to carry the entire department on the backs of the golfers." Now, I found this statement to be particularly repugnant because in light of 126 families of CSEA workers in Westchester facing the loss of their livelihoods, it's a sad truth that this is what Westchester is becoming. Westchester is a wealthy county. We pay the highest taxes, and for that we have the best schools, parks, and historical landmarks to show for it. But the majority of Westchester citizens are not wealthy, and they also deserve to be represented. Westchester is upper class. Westchester is middle class. Westchester is low income and working poor families. We are also rich in varied cultures, and this deserves to be celebrated as one of the reasons Westchester has been a great place to live. But the county executive and his advisors apparently have different ideas about who's important in Westchester and who's not. If it were up to them, they would balance an inflated budget deficit on the backs of low-income and working poor families who need quality, affordable childcare to enable them to work to support their families and to stay off public assistance. They would balance the inflated budget deficit on the backs of community nonprofit neighborhood health centers. They would balance the inflated budget deficit by cutting cultural heritage festivals, which celebrate our richness of diversity and the community of spirit in Westchester. And they would balance the inflated budget deficit on the backs of the lowest paid county workers who spend their careers serving the public, and at the same time, while increasing the ranks of highly paid management and political appointees. These people know very little about how this county operates. Those managers and appointees are not the ones who are assisting families devastated by this recession to keep a roof over their heads and to keep their children fed. They're not the ones who are making sure our roads and bridges are safe for residents to travel. And they're not the ones who are keeping our nationally accredited parks, including those beautiful golf courses, up, keeping them up. CSEA workers are doing this. But this is not up to the county executive. This is up to the legislators who are elected to represent the best interest of all Westchester taxpayers. We appreciate your diligence in auditing this budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Elio Giuliani, please.
Good evening. My name is Elio Giuliani. I work for the Westchester County Department of Finance. I've worked in the health department, the county medical center when it was part of the county. I've worked in the Department of Public Works for the Refuse Disposal District. I've worked in environmental facilities, and I'm presently in the finance department. My degree is in accounting. I've been able to promote myself by taking exams and moving up. I'd urge again, as I did last week, the entire board to cooperate in creating a budget that balances the needs of all these good agencies we've heard about tonight, as well as saving jobs of the experienced and qualified county workers who provide all of the services in Westchester. I'd like to talk about one program that unfortunately is no longer provided by the County of Westchester, the Section 8 program. About a year ago, 43 people, county employees, lost their jobs when that program was transferred to a contractor. I came across an article in the newsletter of the Building and Realty Institute where the current contractor who administers the Section 8 program had a session with the building owners, okay, the business people who operate apartment buildings and other housing units who are having a lot of problem with the contractor. Basically, and I'm going to hand the article to you, Basically, the building owners have issues with the contractor, and they publicly state that the county workers did a better job, okay? The county workers do a better job because they're qualified. They have to take exams. A lot of those promotion exams require college, requires specialized training and experience, okay? No one off the street can just start providing services. No public administration interns can just start providing services that qualified and experienced county workers have been doing for years. As others have stated, the current administration is hiring quite a few politically connected people. We see them. The experienced workers see them in our offices, chit-chatting on phones, texting, laughing during conversations, and basically disrupting sometimes the work that we, the experienced workers, have to do. They're among us. We don't know what they're actually doing because it seems to us they're not doing much most of the day. I again urge you to please cooperate among both parties to create a budget that does not lay off experienced workers and saves all these good agencies that spoke tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Elio. We have Donna Morrison, Dave Sweet, John Mattis, Michael Kaufman, and Billy Kichaldo. Please. Donna Morrison. I think Donna may have left with some of the children. Oh, no. Oh.
Hi. I'm speaking for Carl Bortran, a strong advocate for the homeless situation in Westchester County. First, thank you all for still being awake and listening. Westchester's safety net for eviction prevention has been ripped to shreds. Cuts have come from every direction, over $5.3 million in 3-year homeless prevention and rapid rehousing stimulus funding ended this year, including $2 million used for eviction prevention. That means that Westchester's number of homeless families has risen 42% in 18 months, from 257 families sheltered on February 28, 2011, to 367 on August 31st of 2012. Westchester's wise recent shift away from large family shelters with long-term leases towards scattered site transitional housing with shorter leases means the county can now save taxpayer money almost immediately by reducing homelessness rather than being stuck paying for half-empty shelters, as was the case in the past when demand had dropped. Prevention does pay off quickly. However, we need to work together to rebuild a comprehensive eviction prevention network, sustain the new approaches we learned with HPRP, and ensure that we can offer assistance with rental arrears and time-limited rent subsidies when doing so, so we will keep someone out of a shelter and thus save taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Dave Sweet.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the town of Cortlandt and to all the legislators and to our union officials and everyone else for coming out tonight and speaking about the budget. I'm a manager with the Department of Social Services with Westchester County. I have just about 24 years of service. And I feel a great deal of pride in working for the county and for the Department of Social Services. I actually started, my first county position was as an intern with the Board of Legislature for then legislator Paul Feiner. That was back in 1988, but I guess I'm dating myself a little bit. But really the reason I'm here tonight, and at least two other meetings, 2 other years of meetings like this where there were also going to be layoffs, was because I see some of the best and brightest of my staff who are at risk of losing their jobs. And these are some college-educated, very smart, very vital employees who are caseworkers and examiners who are doing, in my particular area, it's home health care services for elderly and disabled people. I've also worked for many years in child welfare. But the kinds of things that we do, child welfare is a little more known. I mean, you get reports of abuse and neglect, and you have to go investigate them. And we also work with Adult Protective Services, who does the same thing for people that are over 18. And our department works on putting in home care services. We try to keep families together the same way that child welfare tries to prevent foster care placements. We try to prevent placements of elderly and disabled people in nursing homes. So the work that we do, it's not the kind of work that we advertise, but it's really important when the chips are down and when there's nobody else to call. That's, you know, you call us, you call the Department of Social Services. And I just really wanted to go to bat for the people who I see as being at risk for being laid off. There was a buyout in 2010. 1 out of every 7 of our employees retired. It was about 200. And that was done in a much more, respectful, I feel, and dignified manner. Maybe we could do another buyout package. None of the jobs that left in 2010 came back, so all those positions were gone by attrition. So, again, I just want to thank you all for your time, and please consider trying to keep those jobs with the Department of Social Services. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. John Mattis.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. I'm a 43-year resident of Westchester County, a 38-year resident of the town of Cortlandt, and I love Westchester County. And as I look around at you, I realize that my involvement in Westchester County government actually predates every one of you here. For many years in the 90s, I was on the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee when Mr. Kaplowitz came aboard. Then Mr. Ryan, I was on your compensation committee, about 5 years ago or so, and I'm currently a member of the Charter Revision Committee. I've been on the zoning board of my town for 20 years, chairman for 12. I've been on an economic development committee for the town. I know Westchester County. I understand Westchester County. Your problem is a fiscal problem. Your cost structure does not reflect the 21st century. I'm a small businessman, and I do benefits planning for individuals and for businesses. Nobody pays as little as your employees for health insurance, and nobody has the low co-pays or the low deductibles that your people have. And I'm not here to trash the employees. I think they're wonderful. I think they do a wonderful job, but your cost structure has to be changed to reflect the reality of the world today. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to challenge you people, because one of the dirty little secrets I found out as being a member of one of these committees is, and this was from the initial chairman of the Board of Legislators, is that you're really part-time. The reason you are all considered full-time was for only one purpose, and that was to give you full-time benefits. That goes back to the early 70s, and you can look it up in the minutes and you'll find that. So I'm going to challenge you. How can you be full-time? I'm not going to ask you to put up your hands how many of you work either full-time or part-time and still consider yourself full-time employees. How can you work in Connecticut and say you're a full-time employee of the county? I challenge you to call a spade a spade. Call yourself part-time. Give up your benefits. Show by leadership. Show everybody in the county that you're going in the right direction. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Kaplowitz, you know it. When you came on board, what was the staffing of the Board of Legislators? Approximately a third of what it is today. Cut your staff back. Do more with less, as you're asking your other employees to do. Again, lead by example. And third, and just as important, if not more important, stop the partisanship. When the county executive says up, you don't say down. You say, we're going to sue you. If you get a legal opinion from your own county attorney, what do? You hire outside attorneys That costs us taxpayers money, and it's insulting to all of us. Sit down and work it out. Show some bipartisanship. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Michael Kaufman.
Thank you. My name is Michael Kaufman. I sent all of you an email today with what I'm going to say, but I felt I should say it also, not just send it through email. I believe that elected officials have two missions. One is legislation that affects the present, and the other is leaving a legacy. This is no easy task, since the present and future sometimes conflict. I'm here to testify in support of the nature centers. Terminating the curators will affect both the present and the legacy you leave. In Westchester, we've been very fortunate since prior administrations have recognized the importance of the park system and have supported it so that we now have a marvelous park system that continues to improve. For example, the nature centers are clearly better today. Macy Park in Ardsley has been refurbished, and the plans to improve the waterfront in Dobbs Ferry are moving forward. And there are lots of other examples. I've come to realize that when something is going to be taken away, I tend to appreciate it even more. I now understand that for over 40 years, my wife, children, grandchildren, and I have benefited from the Westchester Park system. We're regular users of the recreation areas, trails, forests, beaches, and educational programs. The termination of the Nature Center curators will lead to the destruction of these wonderful resources. The administration's first plan was to rotate the remaining curators to all the nature centers. Advocates testified that this was not viable. To their credit, the administration listened and recognized that full-time staff must be assigned to each nature center. However, their revised plan is to assign hourly employees or office staff to the nature centers. This plan is also not acceptable. We need staff who have knowledge to maintain the forest, trails, beaches, and equipment, to direct and supervise volunteers like me who put in thousands of hours mowing, pruning, weeding, chopping, clearing, and grooming trails, and to lead educational programs for children and families. Should staff with no experience and knowledge become responsible for these tasks, we will lose the nature centers, and the cost to future generations will far exceed the limited savings today. Please restore the curators to the budget, and please override the possible veto to your actions. Your legacy is at stake. I thank you for last year when you restored the funds and the positions, and I thank you for the future when I'm sure that you will not only restore the funds, but also override any possible veto for this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Billy Ricaldo, and as he's coming to the podium, have Ann Janiak, Rochelle Rosenberg. I think she came already. Yes. Yeah. Eric Tierpak, Tracy Ann Johnson, and Janice Shaw, please. Billy, thank you.
Good evening, legislators. I'm Billy Ricaldo, the Southern Region President for CSEA. I'm here to speak tonight on the third disastrous budget that the county executive has presented to the Board of Legislators and the residents of Westchester. The cuts the county executive is making on all these programs that are so vital, which makes Westchester what it is great, is just disastrous and disrespectful to the residents, I think. You know, the workers, 126 workers that work every day to make sure this county run, to make sure your children get to school with the roads, to make sure they protect the safety of the city with the county, with the probation, social service, and all the programs and all the staff that we have to make this county how great it is. It's being destroyed every year by this budget that this county executive has put. And you know, it's time and time again that the legislators have to speak up, walk up, and say, hey, we had enough, like they did the previous years. This county executive under him has hurt the everyday worker. People can't get to their appointments on time because he changed the routes for the buses. You know, they can't even have a decent lunch because of the things, the retaliation and the bullying that he's doing. You know, it's got to stop. But the main thing with this is, you know, we're here to make this county move. And these workers and employees of Westchester do that. And they do it with pride, respect, and the greatness that they do. And I'm asking this legislature to reinstate these programs, reinstate this money, so this can keep on. You have to remember what this government was formed for. County government was formed for three things: to care, assist, and to help the residents of the county in time of need. That's what this county government was for. And this county government should be held responsible to keep it going. And I'm asking this legislator, by doing this, and stop this craziness with this county executive. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Ann Janiak.
Good evening, honorable members of the board. I'm Ann Janiak. I'm the executive director of the Women's Enterprise Development Center, also known as WETC. And we are a proud member of the Westchester Women's Agenda, and I'm requesting that you support the Westchester Women's Agenda's budget position statement, and that calls for a restoration of funding for all of the issues to the 2012 level, and include responsible funding for child care. Part of that restoration funding also includes funding to support WETC's entrepreneurial training programs and services. For 15 years, the Women's Enterprise Development Center has been providing entrepreneurial training programs and services to low to moderate income women to help them start and expand small businesses. We work with groups who do not have access to traditional financial programs and services. They include displaced homemakers, survivors of domestic violence, dislocated workers, child care providers, veterans, and Latinas, or women of Hispanic descent. In these challenging economic times, WETC has seen an increased number of clients seeking our services to stabilize or expand their small businesses. This interest comes not just from graduates of our 60-hour training program, but it comes from many established women business owners in our community. We have been responding to this increased need by offering additional one-on-one business counseling, more advanced programming, microloans, an online crowdfunding program, and assistance with MWBE certification. What makes WETC unique is that as a community-based nonprofit, we have the ability to provide ongoing technical support to the more than 1,500 entrepreneurs we see annually. Although WETC serves low-income men who are interested in starting a business, we focus on women because we know that women represent the overwhelming majority of people living in poverty, as well as those in the lowest paying jobs. Additionally, we know that it is women who, with the start of a successful business, spend more of their increased incomes on their families. They also create jobs and economic development opportunities for their communities. We recognize that these are difficult budget choices that you are faced with. However, this is not the time to cut programs that promote business development and job creation. Therefore, we urgently request that you restore the funding to support our programs and services so that we can continue to empower women to help them support their families, pay taxes, and contribute to the overall economic development of this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Eric Tirpak.
Good evening. My name is Eric Tirpak. First off, thank you everybody for staying awake. It's getting a little late. Appreciate the time and the opportunity to speak before you. I'm a resident of Somers. I've been here about 11 years, and I've been an active participant in the Deer Management Program run by Dan Atchison. The program works. It's a real simple concept, but the program works. And the reason it does work is because of the efforts and time committed by Dan. I have three basic thoughts for you to consider. This Deer Management Program, again, run by Dan, it's been recognized throughout the region, and other states actually have drawn upon some of his good work to try to duplicate this program. Not just the program itself, but the way it was put together and who has made it work. I'm part of the program, have been for the last 3-4 years, and those of us who volunteer, given all the challenges today economically, we have a way to give back to the community. We have a way to support the county, and we also have a way to help with the food banks. Part of a program, some of the other folks that have spoken, it's a program called Hunters for the Hungry, and we actually donate venison to those that are very much in need, all part of the same program. Reforestation is the original and the biggest piece of this program. Those of you who live in Upper Westchester County may have had some issues with shrubs, trees, flowers, traffic, accidents, all those fun things that the deer that we all like to look at. They tend to take advantage of their environment, and part of our process that, again, is run by Dan so successfully is to manage that. So simply said, we have a program that works. The reason it works is because of Dan's hard work, and our ask is that the program stay in place and that Dan continue to steer the boat and help us continue the program's success. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Tracy Ann Johnson. Janice Shaw. Could the following people come forward then? Dawn Myersla? Okay. Thomas Coleman, Trish Morgan, Laura Graber, and Amy Gellis. Anybody here? Yes.
Hi, I'm Dawn Myersky. I'm the program director at Mount Kisco Child Care Center, and all of you who know me know I'm never at a loss for words, but I'm giving my spot to Steve Weissmuller, who is the past president of our board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, honorable members of the board. I'm Steve Weissmuller. As Dawn mentioned, past board president of the Mount Kisco Child Care Center. I've been a board member for the past 5 years and continue in that capacity. I'm also a board member of the Child Care Council of Westchester. My day job is a major multinational company, one of the highest employers here in the county. So keep rather busy. I have 3 children at home. All of them have gone through quality child care, 2 of them at Mount Kisco Child Care Center. So how a family chooses their care is influenced by family values, affordability, and availability. For many families, high-quality child care is not affordable, which results in many compromises. When care is consistent, developmentally sound, and emotionally supportive, there is a positive effect on the child and the family. Children exposed to poor quality environments, whether at home or outside the home, are less likely to be prepared for school demands and more likely to have their socio-emotional development derailed. Research of high-quality, intensive early childhood education programs for low-income children confirm lasting positive effects, such as greater school success, higher graduation rates, lower juvenile crime, decreased need for special education services later, and the list goes on. I could keep reading. I have page after page, but I'm going to sum it up like this. Quality child care delivers many benefits to workers, their children, employers, taxpayers, and the regional economy. Parents work and provide their families rather than rely on expensive public assistance. Their children do better in school, have higher rates of high school graduation, employment, and lifetime earnings. Employees and employers have a more reliable workforce with improved attendance, punctuality, and productivity. The tax base is expanded by the earnings of the families able to work and the women and men employed in Westchester's child care sector of 750 small businesses. Westchester's future workforce is better prepared for the more skilled, higher-paying jobs the county needs. With that, I urge you to look at the budget, look at that increase from 20 to 35%, and take it back down to the 20% that we had last year. Thank you so much for your time.
Thomas Coleman. Trish Morgan. Laura, oh,
Tom Coleman is another board member who's going to speak. He had to leave, so Howard Milbert is going to take his spot.
Thank you.
It's late, so I'll keep this short. You know the issues. You've heard parents, you've heard board members. Now I'll give you the price. We've become very good as daycare directors in estimating costs. Looking at the budget, we estimate that it's going to cost another $10 million above what's in the budget now in order to do the things that we need to be done. The $10 million will increase the number of low-income slots to a more reasonable level, not this level that was given by the Department of Social Services Commissioner that we feel is unrealistic. It'll keep parent fees affordable at 20%, and it will open the Title 20 roles again to where they were. We are not hard fast on this. That would make everything whole at this time. We understand that these are difficult times and that we are open for negotiation on this. We also know that the county executive met with a group of clergy this afternoon, and from the discussion that we heard back from that, it sounds like he's also open to some negotiation. I don't know. That was the general tone of what I heard from this. So it might be worthwhile for everyone to talk. Thank you.
thank you, Howard. Trish Morgan, Laura Graber, Amy Gallus, Emily Phillips, Howard Milbert, we just heard from, Alan Steiner, Glenn Lebois. Is this Glenn?
No, this is Emily. She was someone you called
Yes,
earlier.
come forward, please. Emily Phillips.
My name is Emily Phillips, and I'm here with my husband, John Phillips. We've lived in Croton for 27 years. I'm wearing two hats tonight, actually, because I'm here in support of Arts Westchester. Artists are professionals. They've been going into the schools. They've been going into lots of different organizations and passing on their expertise, motivating volunteers, inspiring people, inspiring the community. Also here in support of the parks. Both my husband and I are involved in environmental conservation, and I can't believe we would lose the professionals, our scientists, our artists, these people who live and work in our community, live and work in Westchester. This makes it a rich, culturally rich, environmentally resources that I don't think you want to lose. We don't want to leave this Westchester. We're staying, although we're almost retiring. We could go anywhere. Our children are out of the schools, but I think that our children, we remember all those field trips, all those artist interactions, and I just can't believe we'd be losing these jobs, these professionals that we need for this. All right, husband John.
A couple of names down on the list. You can cross me off, and I'll make it very brief. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I've had a great opportunity to work with the Parks Department over the past several months, and I have a unique inside view, and I'd like to share a couple of observations about the workings of the curators, naturalists, of whom a few are slated to be laid off. You know, these people are all very well-trained experts in the ecology and the natural workings of the parks. And the Westchester Park system being what it is, which is quite a large and actually treasured part of the entire heritage of Westchester County, these are actually the only people in the parks, in all of our parks, which are shared by all of us here, who have their feet on the ground and are looking at the parks in a certain way with an ecological awareness and knowledge and wisdom that a lot of the other people who are working in the park system are not able to give their full attention to. So that expertise, and it has to be a 12-month-a-year expertise. You have to get familiar with the territory. You can't be rotated in and out. That expertise allows them to call attention to certain things that other people don't see and to manage those resources effectively, and they're really critical. If anything, they're understaffed currently. And I'm saying that from actually having observed these people at work in different parks. That's the other thing I would also say is do not underestimate the enormous job they do as educators, as well as everything else I was just talking about. So on top of that, in terms of the curators, I'd also just like to mention that you can have a great deal of respect and fondness for deer and still understand that they're overrunning our area. And Dan has been doing a critical job and is the only one who can do the job. He's the man for it. And keeping that deer trying desperately to keep that deer population in check. And Emily, my wife, manages a National Historic Landmark, 75 acres in Manitoga, and she totally understands the extent of the deer population and completely supports what I'm saying and supports Dan as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Alan Steiner?
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank you all for your time and attention and your commitment to good government. And this is a fine example of what good government should look like. My name's Alan Steiner. I'm the board chair of Hudson River Healthcare. I've been the board chair for a while. If you ask me how long, I remember walking down the street in Peekskill and seeing Bill Ryan in his knickers.
You have a photo?
Well, since he's supporting my position, no, I don't. I'm here representing the 7 health centers in Westchester County run by the 4 community health center organizations. Others have spoken much more eloquently than I could on the value of the community health center and the essential services they provide, but I just want to make 2 points. Over the years, thanks to the vision and insight of past commissioners of health, many of the county's public health functions have been transferred by contract to the health centers, where their services can be provided in the community. That's one of the reasons they're called community health centers. These are mandated services. They're part of the county's function, and to me, the thought of providing these services out of one office in White Plains is nothing more than a sham. My second point is that reducing the funding to community health centers will more than likely cost more money in the long run, because if there are people that can't be served, where they will go for care is emergency rooms, where they'll receive emergency care, not comprehensive care, not preventative care, but rather the most costly and inefficient care that can be provided. So I would ask you, as I've asked in the past, that the board, as the conscience of the county and the guardian of county funds, reinstate the cuts made by County Executive Astorino to the funding for community health centers. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Glenn Libwell?
Just for the sake of disclosure, I'm Glenn Lebwell Steiner, so I am, yes, so Alan's been involved with the health center for probably over 35 years. He has been a part of the Peekskill community, and that health center started because people like Reverend Jeanette Phillips was a young mother who had to schlep, everyone knows what that means, her sick kids and her well kids down to Westchester in order to get health care. You know, it's said that you can tell the character of a person by how they treat people who are weaker than they are, who have less than they are, who enjoy less status. We have a health care center that is the jewel, one of the jewels of the United States. Every year, Alan and I attend the national conference and completely the esteem that people all over the United States have for what is going on here in Westchester County is enormous. Every one of us here is really there but for the grace of God, go any of us. Many of us, whether you sit on a board, and obviously you do because you want to make a difference in the community in which you live. It doesn't matter what your political point of view is. Each one of you, in your own way, brings your own conscience to bear because you want to be of service to your community. And it wouldn't surprise me that any of us sitting here, whether we've been privileged to be educated, whether we are the backbone of this nation because we are the workers that put in the blood, sweat, and tears to make things work for everybody. Places like the health care center provide health care to all of us, whether we personally walk through that door or not. I don't like to bring religion into this, but I'm going to say something. I sometimes think when I hear what's going on politically in this country, what Adonai, Allah, Jesus would think if they were amongst us and saw the kind of decisions that people were making. We are a country that needs to take care of each other. Whether it's childcare, education, I'm a retired special ed teacher, grew up in Westchester County, worked for BOCES. We need to take care of each other. And when we see people, hardworking people, who are losing their jobs because other people are getting political appointments, it behooves every single one of us to speak out. And I don't care what party you belong to, because every child in this county belongs to you, every elder, every grown-up, every person. We are really responsible for each other.
Thank you, Glenn. Michelle Grant. Is Michelle Grant still here? Mark Contasani. Yo. And Stephanie Hofteling. Katarina Liss Johnson.
You might remember me from last year, the irate individual. Well, I've calmed down because I just respect you and for what you did last year to keep our program alive. And I'd like to remind you that I was born and raised here in Westchester since the 60s. I've been a tax-paying citizen since the 80s, and I've seen the ecosystem in this county decline dramatically. I mean, when my grandparents and my dad used to take us hunting in the 70s, we'd see pheasant and grouse and rabbits, even quail, all the time, all over. You don't see that now because the entire ecosystem is eaten alive. And now when I take my nephews in the woods, like at Pound Ridge Reservation, they ask me, how do the deer reach the food? Because everything from 6 feet down is gone. And then I showed them the exclusion zone, which someone had the brilliant idea to make an example. It's a perfect living example that when you fence off an area to keep the deer out, the vegetation recovers, and the wildlife re-enters, and the insects, and the birds, and everything. And that's what I like to see, and I would love to see my nephews grow up and enjoy like I did. Now, 4 years ago, when I entered this program and I met Dan Atchison, I was very happy to see somebody finally, with some knowledge, is assigned or has earned the position, and our county's finally doing something about this major problem. And last year, like now, when we decide we're going to cut it because of budget, do I have to remind you that it's probably the tiniest bit of the budget, and we get such a tremendous amount of volunteer hours, and we have results. What other program in Westchester is giving you such good results in 4 years? Or by the second year, we were seeing results. And as far as the public, they love talking to us. When I'm going through Muscoot or through Lasden and people see us, even in their pink jogging suits, they come up to us and they ask us all about it, and they're saying, oh, I'm so glad you're doing it. So there really is no objection to this other than a little budget item, which it should be tripled or quadrupled for the effect that one person has done to it. And I can go on and tell you about how horrible the ecosystem looks to me nowadays. Not just because of the deer eating it, because of the insects, because of the coyote. It's all being affected. And it's our responsibility to definitely look after it, to steward our land, because it's our fault that we took the predators out and threw it off balance in the first place. So for all these volunteers and all these people that come together, from one email that Dan sends, we should nominate him for the county legislator or for the county executive. I mean, I'm a construction manager. If I had managers like him under me, whipping people into shape and getting volunteer hours, I'd be able to retire next year. And I'm not kidding around anymore. This should not be an issue. I know. All right. Thank you for listening to me again.
Thank you, Mark.
And consider keeping this program.
Thank you. Wendy Jackson. Is Wendy still here? As Wendy's coming up, Kimberly Green, Jose Alonso, Ellen Grunwald, Jim Meehan, and Nicholas Pasacreta, please.
Good evening, Board of Legislators. My name is Wendy Nashi Jackson, and I am the union rep for family child care providers in Westchester County. And at this time, I would like to give my time to the child care provider of the town of Cortlandt.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joan King. I live at 7 Sonoma Road, Cortlandt Manor, where I provide child care. I have been providing child care there for the past 15 years. And what I want to speak on tonight is that I am a member of the Child Care Union of Voice, the CSEA. I come to you with very serious concern that pertain to the budget of covering the cost of the Superstorm Sandy on behalf of all the Westchester County members. The New York State Office of Children and Family Services is allowing the local Department of Social Service to submit an amendment to their family and social service plan to lessen the impact on children, families, and providers who serve these counties that can pay for the storm-related program closures. Child care absences are often flexible with parents' eligibility requirement. Westchester County plans amendment only for provider payments for program closures for contracted providers only. This leaves out all family child care programs, legal exempt, and some group child care programs. New York City's amendment plan is to pay for 5 to 15 storm days related to the closure days for all daycares, daycare centers, all family and group daycare, and small businesses and legal exempt child care programs, whether they're contracted or not. And what I'm saying is that I feel as though that Westchester County should make these same exceptions because the Superstorm Sandy did not discriminate. They didn't just go to New York City and tear up things. They did the same thing here in Westchester County. Actually, my business was closed for 8 days because I didn't have any lights and I couldn't take care of the children. A lot of things that the people need to understand that, yes, daycare centers are important, so also the providers are very important, because when daycare centers get crowded, then that's when the providers come in, where families need providers. So our business is just as important as daycare centers, and we would like for people to start recognizing that. We go through the same training, we do the same, we have the same requirements as they do. So we would like some of those same benefits that they get. So, and it was already in the budget, so I don't understand, if the storm didn't come, we were going to get paid for those days anyway. So why can't we still get paid for those days, whether we have a contract or not? And also another thing that I want to emphasize, that the 20%, if we go up to the 20% to 35%, a lot of children are going to be in danger. And I just wanted to say that because a lot of parents pulled out before, when they announced they was going up to 35%, and they're going to pull out again. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Kimberly Green.
Good evening. Welcome you legislators to my neck of the woods, Cortland. My name is Kimberly Green. I work in the law department for the County of Westchester as a senior legal secretary, and I am a Westchester County resident. The proposed cutting of 3 paralegal positions affects the entire legal department, as we rely on them to get the job done and complete the work cycle. The paralegals are our opening and closing act, and without them there is no show. The employees we are referring to each have 24 years of experience and have the know-all to get the job done. The law department cannot function without paralegals, and especially with new attorneys coming on board, relying heavily on an experienced support staff to help them adapt to a new system. With the possibility of these 3 paralegal positions being cut, who will absorb all their duties? The functions of a paralegal have never been part of the job description for secretaries and should not be after 24 years. Because of the nature of a paralegal's job, often out of the office performing service to court and etc., it would be damaging to the department's execution of workflow by the secretaries if they had to assume those duties. The law department will suffer a tremendous blow to the efficient completion of work product, which could affect the outcome of the many important lawsuits in which the law department has participated. In addition, whether a case is won or lost, the paralegals are working to keep the best interests of the County of Westchester and its taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Jose Alonso.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Jose Alonso. I'm from the Office of Medical Home Care Services on the Department of Social Service. We provide vital services to the elderly. We keep them in their homes instead of going to a nursing home. I'm here on behalf of social case workers. Our department, the social case workers used to be the heart of the department. From the last few years being cut in so many, there are only 27 social case workers in the whole department. Out of the 27, 20 are in my department. Out of the 26 of them are being proposed to be cut, and they are from my department. I just want to ask you to ask Torino if he looks to save, to look in the healthcare provider to probably find a different healthcare provider to provide our healthcare, or to provide or cut services like employment DSS contract outside vendors to provide employment services for DSS, who the same services being provided by the state employment office. At the same time, that service they're being provided in another department, why you need to have an outside vendor in our office to provide the same services. Another issue is at the same time you're looking to dismiss senior case examiners, at the same time you're hiring new eligible clerks for the CSEA unit in the past 2 months, about 30 of them being hired. If you're looking to dismiss people, why are you hiring now new employees? Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Ellen Grunwald? Jim Meehan?
Thank you, Honorable Board of Legislators. My name is Jim Meehan. I'm a civil engineer working for the Department of Public Works. I'm also a licensed New York State professional engineer. I spoke to you last week about details of what myself and my fellow engineers do for the county, and tonight I want to talk about a little more detail about our non-capital work. Westchester County owns approximately 140 miles of public roadway, various parks roadways, 190 bridges, 88 roadway culverts, 78 park culvert structures, 19 dams, and in excess of 630 storm pipe outfalls. We also own, as you know, the Westchester County Airport and various buildings. The engineering department handles all of this, our whole infrastructure. In 1997, DPW had a staff of 95 engineers, architects, surveyors, construction inspectors, and technicians. And that doesn't include our support staff, which is very important to us. Today, after various retirements and eliminated positions, our staff has been reduced by 1/3 to 61 engineering personnel. For 2013, we're now called to reduce our staff to 51, about half of what we had 14 years ago, but we are still responsible for maintaining our infrastructure. Now, normally, the New York State Department of Transportation is responsible for the inspection of county-owned bridges. In general, the DOT does that approximately once every 2 years for most bridges. If they determine a safety or structural problem exists, Westchester County engineers are now responsible for designing and creating a solution, sometimes with an emergency repair in serious situations. However, the DOT does not perform these inspections on our culverts, which are smaller bridges. It's up to DPW to set up a maintenance program to inspect the culverts. Typically, culvert inspections should also occur once every 2 years. However, due to a cutting of our technical staff, including licensed professional engineers, many of our roadway culverts have not been inspected since 1998, and our park culverts have not been inspected since 2003. And we understand the capital project funding is going to be increased by $33 million for 2013. At the same time, we're losing 15 of our technical and support staff. This includes 10 engineering personnel, 3 of which are licensed professional engineers. Licensed professional engineers alone are recognized by New York State as being legally able to perform particular engineering tasks. The DOT and the FAA state that failure to comply with particular mandates could result in loss of federal funding for county projects. In order to implement capital projects, our staff needs to evaluate which roadways or structures need to be repaired. We have to see what needs capital funding. Until 2010, we had a designated group of engineers evaluating county infrastructure to determine if any of these structures require capital funding to repair. In 2010, the capital projects group was disbanded in reorganization. As mentioned previously, our engineering staff is reduced by 1/3 over 14 years, and we are already having a difficult time completing the current workload. With an increase in capital budget and emphasis on maintaining the infrastructure, it would appear that we need to increase, not reduce our staff in order to fund future capital projects. This should be accomplished with an emphasis on increasing the number of licensed professional engineers and land surveyors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Nicholas Pasakrita.
Good evening, honorable members of the board. My name is Nicholas Pasakrita, a lifelong Westchester resident, And my wife, Pat, and I live in Hawthorne in the town of Mount Pleasant. We're here to support the Cornell Cooperative Extension. The county executive's 2013 budget would slash Cornell's 2012 operating budget by 40% and decimate existing programs in nutrition, horticulture, and 4-H. The Extension Center has been a mainstay organization in the county for nearly 100 years. They exist to serve Westchester residents, and they provide invaluable university-based research. When, for example, residents seek information and solutions to horticultural problems, they are provided diagnostic responses, unbiased diagnostic responses. The Extension Center is truly nonprofit. There is no profit motive, only the commitment to continue to serve Westchester residents. In light of the devastating hurricane impact to the green environments of Westchester communities, is anyone better qualified than the research-based faculty and staff of Cornell University's Extension Center to provide relevant and practical solutions? We urge that the board restore full funding to the Extension Center for 2013. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. That's it for this evening. Is there anyone in the audience who has not had a chance to speak and would like to come up and address us? No? Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate your coming out and hearing from you. We have one more public hearing that will be held at the Westchester County County Center. I believe that is scheduled for next Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. You're welcome.
Thank you.